got in an accident.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Okay, did you call the police yet?
Yeah, I did.
I'm gonna call an advocate and you can tell us both at the same time, okay?
Hey, Sarah, your dad told me that you need help.
So, is there anything that I need to do? Or...
Just focus on getting better.
With an advocate on your side, you're never alone.
Today's the day. And look who I just met.
Hey, Dad.
You deserve a worry-free recovery. You deserve an advocate.
The Big 12 got a new TV deal, and I think this is, I don't know what adjectives you want to put on it. This is a game changer. It's huge. The Big 12, because ESPN and TNT came to a settlement, and really TNT came to a settlement with the NBA because Jimmy Pitaro, the boss at ESPN, stepped in and provided a solution for TNT, which in this case is, hey, give us Inside the NBA on ESPN, and we'll give you 13 football and 12 basketball games on TNT from the Big 12. Boom. It's a huge win for the Big 12. This isn't a small deal. This is a huge deal. Did I mention that the 25 games that are now going to be on TNT were going to be on ESPN Plus? So they weren't going to be on linear TV, ABC, ESPN, or ESPN2. They were going to be stream only, and now they're going to be on TNT. I don't know how you don't view this as an unequivocal win for the Big 12. It is another indication of a couple of things that we've talked about on this show at length. One, it is very clear that Brett Yormark is plugged in with his partners because Jimmy Pitaro just can't arbitrarily make this decision. He had to work with Warner Brothers Discovery. He had to work with Brett Yormark and his team at the Big 12, and they were all able to come together and make a deal that truly, for one of the rare times in entertainment in Hollywood, it truly is a win-win for everybody. This is a win for Warner Brothers Discovery because they get live play-by-play on their air. This is a win for the Inside the NBA crew and NBA fans because, frankly, that's way better than any product ESPN has. And it is unequivocally a win for the Big 12 because Brett Yormark just put 25 more live sporting events in football and basketball on TNT. Jake, I don't know how else to describe it than absolutely, positively a win for the Big 12.
Absolutely, and I think that there's no downsides to this. I think that this is exactly what you should have done. If you think back, we all went through the, hey, Inside the NBA is not going to be on TNT anymore. It's not going to exist anymore. What are we doing? So we got that all figured out. And now as a byproduct of that process, the Big 12 is benefiting. And again, I know that everything seems to be the SEC and the Big 10, moving forward and controlling the sport and making all the money, and they're the best, and college football playoff and everything like that. But the Big 12, seemingly just puts together small little base hits, if you will. And it leads to things like this that are home runs, where it's a situation where you're just going to be seen more. And this is going to help in recruiting. This is going to help in branding partnerships. This is going to help basically in every corner of the conference, because the more exposure you have, the more money you're making. It just helps you do everything at a higher level. And to me, TNT had a need. The Big 12, ultimately is always looking for more carriage, always looking to be seen more, always looking to get more eyes on their product, which is smart in my opinion. And I think in a time when your conference is really struggling and you're having a pretty abysmal year on the football field, I think this was a nice win. This was a nice positive. Hey, finally something good to talk about in the Big 12 besides BYU and Colorado. Finally something positive happened in the conference. So, yeah, I would agree. This is a win-win. This is a home run. Anybody that's criticizing this deal, I'm not really sure where you're coming from on that angle. I'm not really sure how you would criticize this. Like, I just think if you're a fan of any team in the Big 12, you should feel really good about this.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about Big 12 basketball, this is a win for TNT. Now, obviously, this will start in the fall of 2025. So this coming season won't be included, but this is across the board, unequivocally, no doubt about it. This move strengthens the Big 12. It gives them far more reach. It gives them access to new audiences who have not had access to college football and college basketball in the Big 12 at all. And I think what else it does is it elevates the Big 12 again above the ACC. They already had a better TV deal. And now You're getting reach across multiple platforms. Your games are not on stream that would have been on stream. They're now on linear TV on, of all places, TNT. I think it's a dominant move by ESPN and Brett Yormark, and I think it speaks to the ability of Brett Yormark to leverage his partnerships and relationships to net positive gains and results. This is going to help you recruit. This is going to help you make more money. This is going to help you when you go back to your TV partners for a new deal. There's no doubt you have a good relationship with Jimmy Pitaro and ESPN. I just think it is across the board. It's a win-win. And if you're the ACC, I think you have to be scratching your head a little bit because you're already in turmoil internally with the lawsuits that you're battling. You're in a position where your football product has been significantly weakened. And I think if you're the Big 12, when you're lacking a power brand, to get more reach without a power brand, I don't know how you do it. Some of it is certainly a stroke of luck. There is no doubt about that. I think some of it is that you don't end up going to the ACC likely, because the first thing I thought is, well, why didn't TNT take the ACC as part of this deal? Well, I'm sure it's because there's internal strife, and the last thing you want to do is open up your grant of rights and try and get Florida State and Clemson to sign a renewed grant of rights.
Yeah, TNT probably doesn't want anything to do with that. TNT probably isn't like, oh, man,
I think ESPN, who's right in the middle of that, how do I say it nicely, that manure show in the ACC, right? You're not going back in there and being like, hey, I know you just sued to get our contract, but we'd like to open that up. You're not doing that. Where did Jimmy Pitaro go? He went to a place where he has a good relationship. He went to a place where he understands the landscape of the Big 12. I think it's everything you want.
Yeah, I think also too, like the Big 12 basketball product, I think for this deal is brilliant. Obviously there's only so much bandwidth that ESPN has, and I can appreciate ESPN Plus, but part of it is like, you're on a channel now that is well known. Like when people are flipping around, they'll run into your game.
Your secondary games.
Yeah.
None of your best football games, none of your best basketball games. These are your secondary, the technical term is your tertiary.
Oh.
Your lower level games. That's what's going to be on TNT. It's a huge win for the Big 12. And I think that when we look at this landscape and you listen to, we're going to talk about Lane Kiffin and his hot ass girlfriend in a minute. Him talking about, well, we don't want to play in the SEC championship game. Like you're in a position where if you're the Big 12, you quite literally are listening to other conferences trying to get out of playing in their championship game while you're back channeling new TV deals that get you significantly more reach on linear TV than you would have had. That's the ultimate irony of it. And nobody saw it coming. Under the table, quiet deal, no way to really undo it or torpedo it. It's a win-win across the board.
Yeah. And I also think it was, to me, it was smart to do it underneath the NBA deal getting renewed. Because you were just like, yeah, we're gonna take advantage of this opportunity, and if it gets covered, it gets covered. If not, no big deal.
And it gives you a little more voice in things like a Super League. It gives you a little more voice in conversations that are really important when the NCAA tournament expands, when there's more money being doled out.
Yes,
you have the ability to have direct, influential conversations. That's what this says. That Brett Yormark has a relationship with Jimmy Pitaro at ESPN that is strong enough that they can have one-to-one conversations that result in a significant uptick in exposure for the Big 12. I have no idea how that's not a win.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, so often we talk about like, realignment and expansion and all this stuff changing in college football, and it was just nice to have like a positive story come out of the Big 12 for once.
Yeah, I think that for all of the truck stop conference, flyover conference, you can all put that in your back pocket now. I think Again, I don't have a dog in the fight, and I think the super sensitive ACC fan that, consistently and constantly is looking for ways to compare itself to the Big 12, you got beat today.
And by the way, I'd also point out, if you're the Pac-12 schools in this new conference, you're telling me this deal was unavailable to you? Like you had no ability to have a conversation?
That's kind of what I'm saying. Like this is good for everybody. This is good for every member.
Well, I don't think it's good it's great for everybody in the Big 12. Everybody in the Big 12 is going to benefit from this immensely. But think about that. Like, the ACC didn't get this deal done. The new Pac-12 conference didn't get this deal done, even though they're trying to put a TV deal together. It'll just be interesting to see. I mean, the Big 12 just knocked another one down.
It's good for everybody in the Big 12. There's no question about it. And what this tells you is that TNT was clearly not looking to spend money. They were clearly not looking to A, pay the freight on a new NBA deal, B, pay the staff and the infrastructure of the NBA, inside the NBA crew. Okay, so how are we going to replenish that spot? Well, we'll add college football and basketball. I mean, it's a win.
Yeah.
And they saved money on legal fees because they settled their dispute with the NBA. It's a win across the board. And that Brett Yormark played a significant role in that, that's a win. I agree with you on the new Pac-12, this new reimagined league. I agree with you. And the funny thing is, as we reported, and now everybody's confirmed, that the Pac-12 has spoken to Fox and ESPN. Because if you think Fox didn't have a say in this, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Because who else are the partners in the Big 12 TV deal? Fox is a significant partner. Significant. Did it impact Fox? Not a single bit. Because again, this is all inventory that would have been on ESPN Plus.
Mm-hmm.
It's a win.
So it's just an overall, hey, we took something that was upgradable, if you will. We took something in the bag that we could improve, and we improved it. And again, people always say, oh, well, Fox and ESPN and CBS and NBC and ABC and they all compete. No, that's not true. They might compete in ratings and on a piece of paper, but the reality is it's a small, tight-knit industry and everybody talks. And so when TNT sees an opportunity and Brett Yormark and TNT are on the same page and they go to Fox or ESPN or whoever and they have that conversation, Fox is sitting there saying, yeah, let's upgrade this, because if more people see the Big 12 product on TNT, they're going to be more apt to come to Fox to watch Big 12 football. We know that, hey, if someone watches Big 12 football, good Big 12 game, that, even if it's a secondary matchup, a lower tier game, they're going to be more excited about our premier matchups that we have on Fox. And so I hope people understand that it's never really oh man, they're all competing and they don't talk and they're out for the worst of each other. That's not how it works. And this deal, I think, perfectly exemplifies that. And
again, it's a win for ESPN. There's no question about that. Inside the NBA, new expanded NBA coverage for ESPN.
Better coverage.
I would agree, because ESPN's NBA coverage has been...
NBA countdown is as mid as it gets.
I don't watch it, honestly. I think it is good for Warner Brothers TNT because you're struggling financially, as we've seen. And obviously, as we've talked about, it's good for the Big 12. I think it's a win across the board.
Yeah.
It truly is. Yeah, it's cold out. It is cold out here in the.
Be cold in 4 days.
No, it's not. Here in the great city of Salt Lake. Just so you guys are aware, we're looking at temperatures in the order of, because why would you want the weather app to load the one time you need it?
Why would it actually work?
It's so annoying as hell when it doesn't work. Today it is currently 27 degrees and snowing out.
Nice.
So yeah, that's not.
When's the tea time, bro? When's the tea time?
Not ideal. Yeah, no tea time today. But yeah, it's supposed to snow most of the day today, and then we'll be back into the 40s and 50s. Winter has officially arrived.
Yeah.
All right, let's get your thoughts in the comments section. Let's go all the way back to the top. First one in today. Real Pete Forte.
Is that it?
Not the fake Pete Forte, the
Keep
real.
it real.
There's a lot of Pete Fortes. This is the real. Good morning, Pete. Daniel Dixon, hello. Boy, tough in the state of Iowa these days. Tough in the state of Iowa. Let's see. Who else? Midweek Coug. TNT getting 13 football and 15 basketball games. Not sure how big that is. Are you really? So you don't think for the Big 12 that getting a game a week, college basketball and football, that's not a big deal. An inventory that is your third or fourth best game that was going to be on ESPN Plus. Nah. Why would we want to put that on linear TV where more people could watch it for free without a subscription? Yeah, we're not going to do that. How is that not a good thing?
Yeah, I think the other thing you have to understand is who you're talking to. I mean, this is a Washington State fan.
Yeah, I don't know how it is anything other than I think for the Big 12 is the ultimate winner here. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So I don't have to pay anymore and my games are going to go from stream to linear TV? Both football and basketball, and my partners are still covered on their best games? That's a loss. Why would we do that? Come on now.
Dad,
Honey, what's wrong?
I got in an accident.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Okay, did you call the police yet?
Yeah, I did.
I'm going to call an advocate and you can tell us both at the same time, okay?
Hey, Sarah, your dad told me that you need help.
So, is there anything that I need to do? Or...
Just focus on getting better.
With an advocate on your side, you're never alone.
Today's the day. And look who I just met.
Hey, Dad.
You deserve a worry-free recovery. You deserve an advocate.
Let's talk BYU football. I think one of the things obviously that's very interesting is you're uniquely qualified to go to the Big 12. I think you've been through this with Utah. Obviously, you've been around. You are no new coach. I think we all know that. But how accepting of the challenge are you? Because not that you have another choice, but this is a big deal, man.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm excited. This is not about and the good thing is that I feel like we have some time to get there, and so the hardest part about being invited to the Big 12 a couple of years ago was keeping the guys focused on the here and now. In 2021, it's like, guys, let's focus on this. 2022 is like, focus on this. Now that it's here, it's like, let's go.
Yeah,
like, this is exciting part of BYU history,
Yeah.
So the fans are excited. I'm excited. I'm a fan too. So this is a dream come true, and I'm excited. I'm going to lean heavily on the fans to be a competitive advantage for us. But for me, it's not really about my experience, other than it just happens that I've been through this before in a different place, and I know this is different, but there's some things that are very similar. It's not like we're just kind of going in this kind of brand new. This is a really cool thing, and I'll be honest with you. In all the meetings with the Big 12, the coaches, the administrators that I've met, they've been really kind in helping us make that transition. Even with something simple as travel, it's like, this is where most people stay, and they don't have to do that. They don't have to help us out at all. But they've definitely made it an easier transition. It just shows you that the camaraderie and the closeness that this conference has with each other, the teams in this conference, and that they're all about the conference altogether too. So
yeah,
when you look at it, the parity in the conference is unbelievable. That 6 teams in the last 3 years have played for the championship.
Yep. Talking to BYU head coach Kalani Sitake on the Monty Show. Thanks to our friends at PlayHQ.com. How are you? Because I can't imagine, and covering you for a few years, I know that you're an emotional, energetic guy.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot imagine that the last 12 months has been easy with all of your staff changes. And I've taken to calling you courageous because I feel like the changes, Kalani, that you had to make took some courage, because it would have been easy to stand and fight. It would have been easy to say, this is my team or whatever. But how are you, and how has the last year been for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been challenging. I think this profession's challenging, but I love it. I love every minute of it. And there's some times that are harder than others, but I'm still learning. I'm still growing. through this, I'm open to get better, and so hopefully I'm improving as we go along. You know, I know that there's a lot of people that can help teach me and can help me get where I want to be. But the most important thing that I have is I'm responsible to the players on our team, and I have an obligation to the fans as well. So I'm going to do whatever is right by the players on the team and by the fans, and sometimes those don't always go well together, and sometimes they're not aligned. But in this part, it's not easy to make changes, you know. But I appreciate and love all those men and their families that sacrifice for us, and you know, I hope they find a lot of pride and you know, just that they're proud of what we're going to be able to accomplish with the things that they've done in our program. So we would not be able to do all this without them either. So with that being said, the newcomers that are on our staff, there's been a jolt of energy that happens when you go through some changes, but the jolt of energy and the standard has been changed, you know, where especially defensively with Jay Hill there and his staff. And so, you know, we're going into the Big-12. We know there's a sense of urgency to get better at a quicker rate. And I think we're well on our way to do that. How that shows this fall, I don't know, but people are going to predict it. But I feel good about our preparation. I feel good about our team. And I feel good about our ability to get these guys ready to play. So the focus has been on the conference, but I'm thinking about our first opponent, Sam Houston State. And I'm thinking about Southern Utah, and I'm thinking about Arkansas before we even get to the Big 12 conference. But with that being said, man, this has been a lot of fun for me as a coach. I grew up a BYU fan, and so you imagine my road of being a BYU fan, growing up and cheering for all these people that now I get to meet, you know, the legends, like Jim McMahon and even Kyle Whittingham when he played. I remember those days, right? So Tom Homo and these guys I cheered for when they're in the NFL, and Steve Young, and I get to meet all of these guys, Ty Detmer and all these legends. And then I get to coach some other legends like Jamal Williams, and I get to coach Taysom Hill and Fred Warner. It's like, so I went from being a big time fan as a kid to getting to play for Lavelle Edwards, the legend. And I become a captain of his as a fullback that scored 1 touchdown in 50 games. I become a guy that's I'm being taught by Lavelle Edwards. And then I go in my coaching career and I go coach for the rival team for a decade, learn from another guy that played for BYU, Kyle Whittingham, and now I'm back here as the head coach. So whenever I meet BYU fans or I meet people, it's like I gotta be able to just live every moment.
Wait. That wasn't a book or a script you just wrote. That was your life that you were just talking about, right? I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. And so I mean, there's a lot of things that have happened in my life that I don't deserve. My wife being one of them too. And so, and the friends that I've been able to accumulate in my life, and the closest I have with my siblings and my father, you know. So I have a lot of family members that sacrifice for me to get into this place. And it'd be inappropriate for me to look as if this is being really difficult. So I'm going to live every moment of this up. And I joke around about asking Keaton Slovis about the media days because I've never been to any of them. And he's been to more than I have. So I said, hey, dude, what do you think? And he's like, Coach, I know you well enough now to know that this is going to be your kind of party.
Yeah.
So he's right. I enjoy it. I love talking about our team and our you know, my philosophy on football. I love being able to see all the coaches and their players. And I'm a football junkie. I'm a football nerd. So this is a dream come true for me, and I'm living. That's my life. So nobody pinch me. I'm still enjoying it.
Well, you know, Dana Holgerson from Houston sat right where you're sitting right now, and he said the one thing that Mike Leach and Bob Stoops taught him was you have to have an off switch, and you have to turn it off. And you talk about your wife, and family's massive in your life. I understand that. How important is it, and how good are you at turning off football?
I don't know. I don't know if I can just completely turn it off because I think about it and talk about it quite often. I just think that my family's turned on to football, you know, but I really do think it's important that I live in the moment though. So when I'm going to my son's basketball games or my daughter's dance competitions or my other daughter's basketball, or I'm watching my 11-month-old baby walk for her first time. I think it's important that I'm there for those two. And so I think I know that I can be consumed with thinking about football, but my kids need their dad, and my wife needs her husband. And I may not have been the best at that, but I'm getting better, but I do know that I've enjoyed, as much as I love being the coach, I love being their dad too. And I love being my sibling's brother. I love being a husband. And this is what life's all about,
And you've told me in the past that you value coaches and making sure that the people around you go and do that stuff as well, and that you go and do that. Like I'm not trying to make too much out of the, the BYU lifestyle or the BYU way, but it's not like every other institution. Family, faith, football. There's a lot that goes into being the head coach there.
I think a lot of places do it differently, but in order for us to work, and it's really nice to have Sunday as a day of rest and to go to church with your family, and it'd be a family day, and for us to know that our players need that too. So I've been really big on expressing to our players that their role of son, continues to go on. Their family still needs them. And usually when a player is struggling with something, I always ask them, when's the last time you talked to mom? And they'll say, oh, it's been a couple weeks. Like, yeah, that's the problem. Like, no, coach, I'm just struggling with the playbook. Like, no, talk to mom more and talk to dad. And you still need to be a son. You still need to be a brother and a friend. Some of our guys are married. You need to be a husband. And you have to have these other roles, and because you can't be just consumed with one role. That's not your identity. Your identity is all the different things that you get to be in life.
Yeah. Let's talk a little BYU football. Obviously, you can't help but be impressed by the person that Kedon Slovis is. When he sits down here, he has a presence about him. Mm-hmm. But he also transferred from USC. He also transferred from Pitt. Mm-hmm. He clearly has had, the opportunity. What is going to make BYU for Kedon Slovis different than the things that saw him transfer from USC and Pitt?
Yeah, I think the style of offense that we're going to play, and the ability that Aaron Roderick, A-Rod, has and Fessy and the staff to adjust to the skill set of our players, specifically with that quarterback position. So you can imagine we're going to be a little bit different with Kedon than we were with Jaron. And you can see that there's a difference from Jaron to when Zach played.
Certainly.
So A-Rod knows what he's doing, and we're not trying to have and recruit somebody and then fit them into a mold that we already had before. And so what we did with Jaron, what we did with Zach, there's some things that would work with what we do with Kedon, but there's some things that Kedon can do better than what they did, and there's some things that they can do better than him. So A-Rod's the guy that's got to put that all together. From what I saw in spring, I feel really good about it, and it's important for me as a coach, a head coach, to create an environment where Kedon can feel really comfortable in his own skin and feel like he can be elevated as a leader. And you feel like he's got value here, and it can't just be limited to football. And I think what I've seen with him and the transition that he's made, it's like he's always been here. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you should have just came here after that USC BYU game. You should have just stayed here and be part of our team. But it's I'm excited to have him here, and I've really enjoyed him, and the team has taken to him. But I like his attitude. He didn't come because he was promised a starting spot. He came because he was promised that if he competed, that he could see himself thriving in this environment, and then connecting with our fan base. This guy, he understands it, and I can't wait to see him play. When he's comfortable, I think that people are going to have to watch out. So I'm not trying to make statements or anything, but this guy's a really good player when he's feeling comfortable and when he's feeling good about everything.
Andy has a relationship with Cody that I think I'm a huge believer in Cody Epps. I believe in his talent. I believe in what I saw before the injury last year. And I love the fact that they seem to really like each other a lot. Like, how important is that receiver quarterback connection? Yeah,
it's really important. But I think that what Cody does really well is that everybody will try to emulate that. They'll see that connection that he has with people, and our players like doing that. They don't have the they have different personalities than he does, but you can see that it's all the little things that Cody does well. So when you're talking about blocking downfield or being accountable in the off season, that's the stuff that Cody does really well. But we have a lot of guys on our team that do that really well. And then when you talk to Keaton about it, it's like, yeah, this is a cool place to be, where there's a lot of people that see football the same way he does. And he's going into his last year, so there's no room for error anymore. We got to get ready to roll. And I think he feels really comfortable and comforted knowing that these guys are all about ball. You know, our guys are going out and playing golf more than they've done before. And trust me, they're not great golfers, but I actually don't mind it, because I like them being out on a golf course for 5 hours, not looking at their phone, interacting with each other and seeing each other at your worst, and then talking like, you may not like what's going on the golf course, but then you're going to hit that one shot and you're like, what did I do well there? Yeah. It's just, there's some really cool things that I think you can really connect with, and that tends to show on the football field. And there's definitely got to be a love and a connection on our team outside of football. And I think that's going to be a huge difference maker for us.
Yep. We're live in Dallas with Kalani Sitake. Thanks to our friends at BladeHQ.com. 2 more questions for you. I loved every Wednesday last year we had Harris LaChance on the show, and he talked about the offensive line room, and he talked about Kingsley Suamataia, and he talked about the talent that kid has, and he talks about how excited he was. And now Harris is gone, but Kingsley is still here, and you have some turnover on that offensive line. But it seems like Kingsley's got all of this talent, and he seems like he is a guy that you can really build on. Do we know how good Kingsley Suamataia is yet?
He's the real deal. And so much talent and athleticism in a big body. And I think he's one of the best O-linemen in the country. I like the fact that he's leading the way by example, and that people want to play like him, but he also does the little things right and finishing plays. When he's on the field, it's like that's the best moment of his life. So he loves the game of football. I think there's a lot of things that our players can learn from him, but he's also open to learning from others too. So I really like his attitude and his personality with our team. The guys, none of them are perfect, but they are to me, and I like them connecting with each other. So I think that I'll take all the great athletes, but when they happen to be great people too, that's a really good sign.
And he's really big,
yeah.
which really helps.
Yeah.
Last question. I could not have you on without talking about Max Tooley, because he's another guy who I just love. Can you keep him healthy? And can the entire stadium, led by The Rock, chant Maximus every time that he picks a ball off and takes it back? Because I joke with him, but when he has those plays, it seems like the entire defense rallied in the moment right with him. He gets hurt, and I felt like your defense was different after that.
Yeah, and I think the goal going into the offseason especially is to make sure that we had everything lined up for our players to have success, and keeping them healthy is a big part of it. Using our sports scientists as a key, and elevating our preparation in the weight room, and also in the conditioning, as well as rehab and everything from the medical part. I think we have to do our best to make sure that they're lined up to have success, and that's availability is the best ability. So we're a much better team when Max is on the field. I love coaching that kid. I mean, I've been a believer of Max Tooley from the beginning. So what he's doing on the field, when he's on the field, doesn't ever surprise me. But we need him on the field often and every play, and that's the goal, because when he's there, he'll make us a much better team.
And I don't think you've seen the top end yet. I don't know you've got anywhere near it.
There's so much potential with a lot of our players, Max being one of them, but there's a lot of guys that can do way more. We need to make sure to put him in the position to have that done, and so he can do a lot of different things. I trust Jay Hill and Justin Enna and the rest of the staff to get things right and make sure that we utilize all our players and our strengths to our best of our ability.
Don't ever change. You always, every time I've ever talked to you, You probably don't remember, but at Utah, we stood on the field in cold weather after practice and just didn't talk about football. But
I remember
the times that we've talked, you just have this energy about you, man, and this way about you, and you're just a good dude. Like I know, I hope people tell you that you're just a really good dude, man.
Man, listen, I just want to be the type of person that I am when I'm around my dad and when I'm around my wife, and I like the person that I am. I mean, I get a lot of enjoyment from just being around and connecting with people,
Yeah.
So I've learned quite a bit from you too. Back in the day, we've been able to talk a lot of different things about life, So those things I cherish, and I just we're in a moment now where people are looking and staring at their phones all the time, and I wish there would be more interaction, more eye-to-eye contact, hugs, and conversations, because I was built off all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, appreciate it.
Good to see you, man.
Love you, brother. Thank you.
Love you too. All right, there you go.
Dad,
Honey, what's wrong?
I got in an accident.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Okay, did you call the police yet?
Yeah, I did.
I'm gonna call an advocate and you can tell us both at the same time, okay?
Hey, Sarah, your dad told me that you need help.
So, is there anything that I need to do? Or...
Just focus on getting better.
With an advocate on your side, you're never alone.
Today's the day. And look who I just met.
Hey, Dad.
You deserve a worry-free recovery. You deserve an advocate.
Bro, did you see God damn it. Kate, why do you have to do this to me?
Literally nothing in the comment about my Gundy, but just because Kay is a Pokes fan.
I'm not even going to describe this video. I'm just going to play it for you.
This place has had tremendous success for 18 and a half years, or 19. I can't do the math real good, and so unfortunately in life, most people are weak. And as soon as things start to not go as good as what they thought, they fall apart and they panic. And then they want to point the finger and blame other people. That you see it happen in everyday life. People do it all the time. That's why I refuse to watch the TV and watch the news, because I get tired of people complaining and bitching about this and that versus just doing something about it and trying to figure out a way to make it better. Well, that's what happens in college athletics. And as Jenny said, she's exactly right. It's just on the bigger stage where people can voice their opinion. And in most cases, the people that are negative and voicing their opinion are the same ones that can't pay their own bills. They're not taking care of themselves. They're not taking care of their own family. They're not taking care of their own job, but they have an obligation to speak out and complain about others because it makes them feel better. But then in the end, when they go to bed at night, they're the same failure that they were before they said anything negative about anybody else.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Like,
is there anybody at Oak State or any Oak State supporter who still is in Mike Gundy's camp? Are you out of your mind? He just attacked Oklahoma State fan. He just said, you're miserable in your life and that's why you're criticizing me. No, Mike, we're criticizing you because you haven't won a goddamn thing in the Big 12 this year.
true.
Facts.
And you're going after garden variety fan who in that miserable job and in his miserable life saves up his money to make sure he can go to BPS to watch you play football.
Because this team is just hot ass.
And that's the guy you chose to go after you did your DUI thing at Big 12 Media Day, after you didn't punish Ollie Gordon, and he's been one of the worst running backs in the league. And your offense has been one of the worst offenses in the league. And your defense is now worse than your offense.
Google me.
And it's the blue-collar workers' fault for criticizing you.
Bruh.
What are we doing, Mike? Why are you talking?
Help me. Help me. Help
me. And again, I want to be explicit about this. This criticism has nothing to do with Oklahoma State per se. This we could be talking about, like, if Gundy coached any other team, my take would be the exact same. This dude talks too much and does not win enough. You have not won it. You have not been to the college football playoff. You have not been a serious Big 12 championship contender yet in modern day, probably 6-7 seasons. Right? In the modern day college football playoff era, What has this dude done? I don't care about 2005 or 91 or I don't give a damn about any of that. This guy needs to stop talking and needs to start winning football games or he shouldn't be your head coach. Like, I'm done with, it's Casey Dunn or it's this dude or it's that dude or Bowman sucks or Rangel's a freshman or a young guy or whatever.
Or Flores in my mom.
Yeah,
and, come on, dude.
like I'm done with all that, bro. This is a very straightforward conversation. This dude just criticized your fans, and he's done a terrible job this year. And you want to say that the fans are miserable and the fans are weak and essentially the fans are stupid, and that's the only reason they're criticizing you. It is anytime a head coach, collegiately or in the pros, is criticizing fans, you're in trouble. You're in deep trouble. Because you're not saying, yeah, you know what? Like, you know what he should have said there? Hey, these fans, they should be criticizing us. They should be complaining. We haven't been very good. I haven't done a good enough job. That's what you should be saying, Mike. Not that their lives are miserable and they have nothing else to do and the media is biased against Oklahoma State. Like, it's just such a tired take, man.
I am shocked by it, and we have not.
As a fan, what do you think of that, Sunbury? Like, and I'm genuinely asking you, man. Like, does that not upset you?
I don't even know how you. I don't know. Fuzzy balls for $5. Congrats to the Florida State cinnamon rolls, who have gotten 0 takeaways for 6 consecutive games. Talk about a team quitting on an epic scale. Where did they go? Where did they go? I have no idea. San Diego State Glenny said the deplorables aren't paying their bills either. Wow.
You see what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Who are you?
And donuts. I've been waiting for a Gundy rant. Beautiful, Monty. Classic. You're welcome.
Yeah.
We do what we can. Daniel Dixon, he's making Oak State look like the old Iowa State when Iowa State was lucky to win 3 games a year.
Yeah.
You're
like,
not wrong.
How are you as a fan? And I'm serious. I'm very curious. Like, Oklahoma State fan, are you not in the Fire Mike Gundy camp at this point?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I would make a move on him. After that, you don't attack fans. You don't attack the lifeblood of your football team. You don't do that in my belief. You don't do that in Survive. You just don't. You're attacking the guy that sits in the upper deck. That's the last flipping guy you want to go after.
Yes.
You don't do that. And you know what the real problem here is? And I'm going to play the video again because I think it's perfect today. Oak State fans are phenomenal. They're passionate. And what video perfectly illustrates that?
I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to scream. There's no point to, because this team is just hot ass. They're terrible. It makes no sense. It's inexplicable. Casey Dunn, Brian Nardo are both equally as bad. Alan Bowman isn't good. Zane Flores is either hurt, he isn't any good, or Mike Gundy just hates us all.
Well, now Mike Gundy hates y'all.
He confirmed that.
And he confirmed it.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing. Obviously, dude's a media member, but you can tell he's got passion. Look at how huge his cheekbones are.
Yeah, that take is not wrong, though. That's the thing I have for Gundy.
I said, look how huge it... Never mind. Can I not get a reaction out of you on cheekbones?
Bruh.
What am I supposed to say to that, dude? What am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah, I don't.
But my point is,
agree.
Poke fans' take is not wrong. Like, Bowman is not good. The defense sucks. The offense sucks. Mike Gundy doesn't have control of his program. Perfect example. Yesterday on the show, I said that Joey McGuire at Texas Tech better have a backup plan or a recruit coming in to backfill Taj.
He better.
You'd have thought that I said that Joey McGuire's the worst head coach in Texas Tech as a poverty program based on the reaction of Texas Tech fan in our comment section yesterday. Like I got called stupid yesterday in our comment section for saying that.
But I mean, you are.
Yeah.
F around and find out.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I do on a daily basis on this show. But it's just incredible to me that like Poke fans not just out here like, yeah, we're done. It's over. Like, thanks, Mike. Time to move along. Like, I'm shocked by it.
Yeah. Why do you say Glenn says it's a very interesting program today? Is that a compliment?
Yeah, what's up, Glenn?
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Hope everybody votes today. Do you understand the gravity of today? NFL trade deadline. We have got election day. Like it's everything you need. Make it happen. Glenn, good to see you, my friend. Michigan State should make a call to Ollie. Ollie's not going to Michigan State. If Ollie transfers, he's going he's a Texas kid from Fort Worth. My opinion is he's going back to Texas. And he should, because if he transfers, he's got to win. Period. That's it. That's the whole story. Michigan State's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'd be all about that, in my opinion. Welcome to the nightmare. Gundy criticizing the fans is ridiculous. What he needs to be criticizing is his own coaching.
Yes.
Fuzzy balls. Are you a tennis player? Oklahoma State is trying to be like Kansas Jayhawks of the 2010s. Wow. Stadium guy James, Gundy is frustrated that his OC and DC suck. So do something about it. Do something about it. I've given up hope about Oak State going to a bowl. Well, now you have Baylor and TCU and Texas Tech. You're a fan of all of them, right? If the linebackers get medical red shirts, we'll be good. You're not going to be good. You're not talented. You're either not talented or you don't coach well. It's not a player problem. You need a massive change in coaching. And if you don't do Kalani when he fired his best friend as defensive coordinator and brought in Jay Flipping Hill, you don't make a move on that scale. If you don't go and get, look at Ryan Day going to get Chip Kelly with them huge acorn. Anyway, my point is, if you don't go and get Chip Kelly, if you don't go and get Jay Hill, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. Oh, wow. Wow. Jaden Mayava, the starting quarterback at USC. Wow. Miller Moss done at USC. 4 of their last 5 games, 4-5 on the season. Wow, wow, wow. Jaden Mayava, who, again, and we talked about this at length on the show. You remember that?
Yes.
He transferred to SC. He's a sophomore. So he could be the guy. Dude, that's huge. That is huge.
So there's two reasons as to why Lincoln would do this. Obviously, they need some kind of injection of energy, of course. But if you're Lincoln Riley, are you not trying to change the narrative, the conversation on your program right now?
Wow.
That's why I think he's doing this. I think that, I've been saying it all year. Miller Moss is not a special quarterback talent. Like he's decent, he's solid, but he's not like, I'm going to put you over the top, or my arm talent's just so incredible, or he doesn't have those intangibles as a quarterback. Now he's, again, a good leader. He's typically not going to lose you the game. But the problem is in college football, you need your quarterback to be able to go and win you the game. And he can't do that. He just has shown time and time again.
Yeah, I think it is very interesting to me that you look at the reaction to this, and I think you will see that this is what you're supposed to be doing. Boy, what a day of breaking news on this program. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
All our breaking news brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy app in the business. You guys, they still have the best promo. Monty Show listeners, you get the app downloaded on your phone. Use the promo code Monty to open up a new account at Prize Picks. You deposit $5, you get 50 more instantly at Prize Picks. Hook it up. It's awesome. I won again last night. Now, I would like to say my anger towards Tampa was misplaced on this show. Because I needed did you guys see what the long field goal in that game was last night? I know you guys, you don't watch football like Monty watches football.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
I am that guy. Did you guys see that Chase McLaughlin made a 47-yard field goal last night? Okay. So I needed Buckcrack and McLaughlin, or Bucker. My bad. I mispronounced that jerk's name. McLaughlin and Bucker last night. I get Travis Kelce. I had him at 5.5 receptions. I went more. He had 14.
Nice.
Shake and Baker Mayfield, 1.5 touchdown passes. He had 2. I went more. Life is good.
And when I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
McLaughlin and Buttcrack, I needed a 48-yard field goal. One of them had to kick a 48-yard field goal. McLaughlin kicked a 47-yard field goal.
Embarrassing, dude.
I lost. No, I won because I'm smart. I took Monty's advice. That's me. Monty took Monty's advice and played a flex play. So I won $25 on it last. Look at all the SC people texting me.
Oh, God.
My guy Stan, who is a ridiculous USC fan. He gives, I'm not even going to say how much he gives. He gives tens of thousands of dollars a year to that program. Miller Moss isn't the problem. Fire that jackass.
Dude.
My other buddy Chad, who's a USC alumni. Honestly, I think it's a good idea to bench.
He has our full respect.
Fire that jackass.
I think the reaction is amazing.
Out of here.
One of the other people who shall remain nameless. Miller Moss sucks, but not as much as Lincoln Riley. That MFer needs to go.
Dude.
SC fans are so pissed.
So I said, yeah.
And yet, this is why I say, like, as a Notre Dame fan, it pisses me off that Marcus Freeman is mid, because that won't get him fired.
It vexes me. Terribly vexed.
If you're an Oak State fan, how are you not on the same MFing level with
You ought to know. You bought it.
that MFer?
Fire that MFer.
I love it. That's what I love about the passion of sports. Anyways, download the Prize Picks app. Oh yes, I already have my my NBA pick. I won $90 on my NBA pick last night because I went all heaters. And I got to tell you, watching the Laker game, I just want to snap and break something, which is fine because the Lakers lost to the Pistons last night.
It's embarrassing.
Anthony Davis came through, though. I had him on a heater at 44.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I took more, thankfully, because he had 50. He put up a 50-piece nugget. I hate saying nugget. He put up 50 last night. Anthony Davis I think he's the most valuable player in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Jake convinced me to do something stupid. Look at that. Wow. Nebraska is adding former Houston and West Virginia head coach Dana Holgerson to the staff as an offensive consultant.
Juicy.
He'll work with the offensive staff in a role that will evolve as the season goes on.
There you go.
How many times have people on this show said Dana Holgerson's got to get a job?
Well, there you go.
Oak State fan, you should be pissed.
And they're better for it.
I would agree with that.
He's not a head coach, but he is a damn good coordinator if he becomes that.
I would agree with that. Jake convinced me to take Steph Curry 3.5 3-pointers made. He made 4. So now, and I feel almost stupid with this last one because the Jazz beating the Bulls is the worst loss of the season for the Jazz.
What's wrong with you?
The Jazz beating the Bulls was a huge loss for that team.
Terrible.
Dad,
Honey, what's wrong?
I got in an accident.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Okay, did you call the police yet?
Yeah, I did.
I'm going to call an advocate and you can tell us both at the same time, okay?
Hey, Sarah, your dad told me that you need help.
So, is there anything that I need to do? Or...
Just focus on getting better.
With an advocate on your side, you're never alone.
Today's the day. And look who I just met.
Hey, Dad.
You deserve a worry-free recovery. You deserve an advocate.
I think the Big 12 Conference is desperate for Deion Sanders to stay at Colorado. I think Deion Sanders loves it at Colorado. But the question is, if the phone rings, how does Deion Sanders not pick up and have a conversation? If USC fires Lincoln Riley and they call Deion Sanders, Are you telling me that Deion Sanders doesn't have a conversation? And we've talked about this on the show previously. I think there's only 2 or 3 gigs in this country that can pull Deion Sanders. Obviously, Florida State's one of them. And everybody says, well, Florida State hates Deion now because of Travis Hunter. You're out of your mind. If you think that Florida State wouldn't hire Deion Sanders today if they thought they could get him, I think you're crazy. If Steve Sarkisian ever left Texas, I think the first phone call they would make would be to Deion Sanders. And yes, I believe if USC fires Lincoln Riley, how do they not make the call to Deion Sanders? Because it is unquestionable to me that Deion Sanders is a home run hire for anyone, and that includes Colorado. And the thing that I would say is, if Deion Sanders leaves Colorado, it is absolutely devastating for the Big 12 conference. Because without Coach Prime, I have no idea how relevant this conference would be today. And my real opinion is, if Deion Sanders isn't in the Big 12, I feel very strongly that the Big 12 is irrelevant, especially when you look at Utah and the struggles of Oak State, and you look at the state of Texas not really competing at a high level in college football. Jake, I think it is absolutely critical that Deion Sanders stays at Colorado for the Big 12.
I mean, what's another big name in the Big 12? I mean, if you sit and look at the conference, who else is the, I guess Kyle Whittingham would be. I mean, Kyle Whittingham is certainly nationally recognized, but he's not the brand, in my opinion, that Deion is. And, I think that the shock value or the however you want to characterize it, that presence that Deion has with the media and just with the younger generation, like, it's just a different thing. It's not to say it's better than Witt, but I just think when you look at the Big 12, there's not another guy who's as like, gravitational. Yeah. Like there's not another guy that pulls that kind of attention. And I think after Texas left, like, the Big 12 has been sitting here trying to figure out who's next. And Deion's kind of stepped into that.
But I think when you look at the coaches in this league, Kyle Whittingham's a great example of this. Kyle Whittingham's 65 years old.
Yeah.
Kyle Whittingham isn't on Instagram yesterday introducing the diamond turf that he wore when he played for the Falcons and the Braves.
Begging people to tag Nike so that Nike will release it.
That's what Deion Sanders is. Kyle Whittingham, and I love Kyle. I have a universal respect for him. I think he's one of the best coaches in the country. Kyle Whittingham, in my opinion, doesn't have name or Q factor with 16-year-old kids the way that Deion Sanders does. And a lot of it is because Deion Sanders owns social media. He owns it. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, less on X now. But you look at Coach Prime across social media, he dominates. Not his kids' account, not Colorado's account. Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, his own account. He's got Deion Sanders Jr., who follows him around with a camera and shoots his reality series. Like, I think that is, if we learned anything from the election less than a month ago now, you have to own the social media space.
Yeah, I just think you have to embrace it. It has to be a thing. This is much like the portal. You have to embrace the new age concepts of how to go out and get recruits. I hope people understand it. We're not saying, hey, he owns social media in the sense that, oh, well, he just posts a lot. No, he owns social media in the sense that like with like what you were saying with Deion Jr. He's tasked Deion Jr. with having a camera and a crew, not like a TV crew. You need to understand this. And I'm making this point because I don't think most people get this. You have Deion Jr. and a bunch of folks under him who follow the program around, follow Deion around, and are constantly just capturing the life of Deion Sanders.
Turning on the intimacy that you get. And you probably think I'm being crazy. I'm telling you I'm not.
Think about what a recruit sees when he's about to explain this.
The intimacy that you got when he was having his toes amputated. And he literally, there's an episode of Coach Prime on Prime where Deion Sanders Jr. turns on Deion Sanders Sr.'s bedroom light and wakes up his dad to go to the hospital with a camera. And they're filming this. You're like inside of this guy's life.
Do you understand the willingness that it takes to do that?
It's unbelievable. And as people who do this for a living, and we have made behind the scenes content, it's tough to get people to do that.
People won't do it.
But it's his son. He's built an infrastructure that allows you to understand, hey, I'm like the episode where he goes to Nike. Do you think a 16-year-old kid thinks it's cool to go to Nike and design a retro shoe?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And I think that when you're talking about flipping quarterback recruits like Deion did, and you're talking about flipping offensive linemen as recruits like Deion did, that stuff is critical. And I say all of this because who else in the Big 12 is doing that? Is Mike Gundy doing that? Is Kyle Whittingham doing that?
Well, and it used to be that BYU was the leader in this space. That BYU,
Kalani does it,
but Kalani doesn't
to
do it
a lesser extent.
Yeah, like it's different at BYU. Like, we need to make sure you understand this. So at BYU, they have a staff that they have a whole video department and a whole thing,
and they dominate,
and they do a great job, phenomenal job. But the key difference between what Deion does and what BYU does is the way BYU's content feels. It feels like you have a social media team that's just kind of covering the program as a
at
whole.
The facility, at the stadium,
it's kind of all about
on the bus.
That. Yeah.
With Deion Sanders, it's a way of life. He films everything he does.
Yeah.
And it makes a huge difference. And so I say all of this because if you think that USC is not going to call Deion Sanders, you're crazy. And I'm going to play this bite from Deion. And you are going to hear him unequivocally say, no, I'm not going anywhere. But do you believe?
Hey, man, what do you say to Buff Nation out there?
I'm good. I tell them all the time. I'm comfortable where I am.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how many times I can say it. I only speak one language. I can't say, I wish I spoke several different languages so they would understand more candidly. But I'm happy and content with where I am.
What did you say the other day? I've got my kickstand.
I got my kickstand. See, you got to be old.
Well, I was going to say.
You got to be at least 40 and old.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
Understand what a kickstand is. A kickstand down means what? I'm parked, right? I'm good.
You're parked.
Now, I've seen reports where they talking about the kickstand means you can put it back up and drive off. Like, God.
I was watching.
I think he loves being at Colorado.
Yeah.
But at no time in there did he say, I'm staying. I am not leaving. I am here for good. Like, I think he said exactly what you have to say.
Yeah.
And he said it sitting in front of a banner with an Aflac logo on it because he makes commercials with Nick Saban. Why do you think Nick Saban's on the Pat McAfee show every week?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think Bill Belichick's on the Pat McAfee show every week? Because you have to be. I think Deion Sanders loves Colorado. I think Deion Sanders would like nothing more than to win a national championship and build a dominant program at Colorado.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue with Colorado.
Not at all.
It's
not.
I think that everybody likes to make it about, oh, well, you guys are saying he doesn't like Colorado. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying he doesn't like Colorado. What I'm saying is that, hey, and it's the old DJ Khaled reference. Hey, you're suffering from success. Hey, you're a huge brand in college football.
Yes.
You're doing all these amazing things. Like, it's bringing you a ton of notoriety. You're starting to see the product improve on the field. Like, you're suffering from success. So when the phone rings and Florida State's on the other end, or Texas, or whoever the hell you want to point to, I mean, he's going to take the call.
Absolutely.
Like, you're going to have the conversation.
And he should.
And he should. And it's not to say that it's guaranteed that he's leaving, but I just think if you're Rick George, you're the administration at Colorado, you got to be on the same page with the idea that, hey, like, we've got one of the best things going in college football right now, whether we win a national championship or not. This is one of the best stories in college football. And we have to be prepared for the fact that this could end at any time. And that's the unfortunate nature of coaching college football. It's so different in the NFL. In the NFL, you've got contracts and, dudes are going to, work those contracts out. And like, it's totally different. But in college football, a guy can leave when he wants to leave. And how many times have we had the Mike Elkos of the world say, I'm not going anywhere. I'm good here. I'm not going anywhere. And then not 6 weeks later, they're doing their introductory press conference at A&M. Like, we've seen this before.
Yeah.
So I'm not blaming Deion, but it is foolishness. It is you're putting your head in the sand if you think that this guy's not going to take the calls and have the conversation.
NFL or college football?
College football.
I don't see him. I agree. I don't think he's an NFL guy, because how much has this guy talked about? And again, I consume all of his content, and I can tell you repeatedly, he has said he is somebody whose job he believes that God has put him on earth to mentor young people to become young men. He believes that his job is to take kids and make them men, to help them make better decisions. He talks to them. A lot of people were pissed when Colorado put their social media handles on the back of their practice jerseys. Well, why did they do that? Their practices aren't on TV. Yeah, they are. Because when you go to Colorado, you sign a release and you're on Coach Prime's show and you're on his reality series. And why? Because they're building brands. They're making money. And it's what Deion has talked about repeatedly. And it's why he's able to get Julian Lewis, a 5-star quarterback, to commit to Colorado from USC. And if you're USC right now, and I think this is very interesting, that it doesn't matter where you're committed to. Honest to goodness, I don't think it matters if you're at Florida State, Georgia, Bama, USC.
We built this program on NIL.
He doesn't give a darn, as he says, because he's going to get the best recruits and he's going to get the best guys in the portal. So if you're SC, you just lost a 5-star quarterback to Deion Sanders, and you're already thinking about firing Lincoln Riley. Are you telling me you're not calling the devil? Because isn't Deion Sanders the devil at that point? I think he is. So if you're looking at whacking Mike Norvell, you're telling me your first phone call is not Deion Sanders, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. And if you're a program, I'm telling you this now. If you're Oak State is a perfect example of this, because I have no idea how Mike Gundy must have nudes.
I'm a man.
Right? Mike Gundy must have nudes. It's all I can think of. Not of himself. Like, it's not that he's see what happened.
I don't know. I don't
Gundy,
know if.
I mean, the cloth.
I don't quite know how to answer that.
And when I bequeath myself of these thoughts, I don't think about Mike Gundy. I just want to clarify that I do not.
Well,
think
you don't
about
have
Mike
to because of his hair.
Because I can't go below the shoulder, the mullet.
Right.
My point was, I don't know what leverage he has over people in Stillwater. But if you're in Stillwater and you're not seriously thinking about firing Mike Gundy, you're out of your mind.
I don't really get it.
It is. And again, I go to this question right here. How important is Colorado football to the Big 12? I think it's critical right now.
Paramount.
I think that you need, if you're a Big 12 fan, and I understand if you're at Kansas, you want them to beat Deion Sanders. If you're a fan of this conference, you are rooting for Coach Prime every week for the rest of the year. Because without him, I don't know if somehow Arizona State gets in. I think it's a great story. It's not great for the conference.
No.
I think if BYU or Colorado does not get in, it's not good for the conference.
Man, I have my reservations about BYU.
And I've looked at that game 27 ways to Sunday, and we'll talk about it coming up in about 40 minutes. I can't find a way to pick BYU over Arizona State.
But Deion's importance to this conference is it can't be understated, and it's not because, I mean, he's partially earned it. Part of it is he's earned it, but I think the other side of it is that, you know, and I know we talk about this all the time, and we don't have to go back down the carousel today, but like the whole concept of, hey, like, there's not another program in the Big 12 that really is doing things right now. And it should have been Utah, but it wasn't. And it should have been Oak State, and it wasn't.
And it wasn't.
You know, it should have been Joey and Tech, but it wasn't.
Should have been K-State and Avery Johnson.
Should have been the great marathon runner Avery Johnson, but it's not. Like, it's just one of these deals where you look around the other conferences, and I agree the ACC is the worst conference in the country on the football field, that is. But the problem is that at least they have multiple college football playoff contenders. Like, I understand that you look at this graphic right here, like, the Big 12 is light on this graphic, man. There's not like, I understand that BYU and Colorado are right there, and hey, one of them's going to go, but is one really a good number? Like, is that really all we're trying to do in the Big 12? Like, that's my thing.
It's a great question. Is that good enough? And I'm telling you, it's not. And again, I'll say for the ACC, is it a good look? Is it a good look if you look at this graphic right here and SMU is your representative? If SMU wins the ACC championship game, Miami's not getting in. Is it good? And I'm sure that every flipping SMU fan is going to lose their mind, as you guys have been in the comment section all year long. But you ask yourself right now, if Miami beats Wake Forest and Syracuse, and I do not trust Cam Ward.
Big trust?
Big trust, bruh. I do not big trust Cam Ward.
Right.
As far as I can throw him. Bruh. And I would assume that they do. And I would assume that a Clemson team that's only got the Citadel and South Carolina left on the schedule, I would assume Clemson would win out. And if it's Clemson and SMU in the conference championship game, Miami probably is getting in. And I would assume, I mean, let's play the same game. It's Virginia and Cal. There ain't a chance on God's green earth that Rhett Lashley and SMU are losing one of those two games.
Agreed.
We'll see what happens. But I look at the scenarios. If you're Miami, you do not want to get to the ACC championship game.
And I just think, look, I think that the ACC, you know, we can do scenarios all day, right? I mean, we can look at, you know, wins and who's this and that, but the reality of the situation is that it's best for the ACC if Miami wins the conference right now. And I'm not sure that that's going to happen. Honestly, I don't think you can definitively say that's going to happen.
I don't think you can either.
And the real problem is that looking at the top 25 and, you know, like this whole situation, like I just don't think that there's a lot of confidence that the ACC and the Big 12 are somehow going to make a splash this year. And I'm just telling you, man, if you're a Big 12 football fan, and I don't care who your team is in this conference, like this one team nonsense is just not good enough. I understand that the Big 12 is never going to have four teams.
But it's Clemson and the Citadel.
Yeah.
You guys understand, because Clemson doesn't play another conference game the rest of the season, they don't control their destiny.
Yeah.
And that loss to Louisville is absolutely stomping on your nuts right now.
Yes.
Because you have the Citadel in South Carolina, and you look at SMU, SMU beat Louisville. And you look at Miami, and Miami beat Louisville. So you need Miami or SMU to lose for Clemson to get in. And if one of those two teams loses, I got bad news for you. They're out. And that's why I said there's no real scenario for the ACC or, in my opinion, for the ACC or the Big 12 to get two in.
Yeah.
Not with this sitting right here, because if SMU at 13 loses before the championship game, you're out. If SMU gets to the championship games and loses, you're out. If Miami loses before the championship game, they're out.
Yeah.
If they lose in the championship game, they're probably out.
Yeah.
Because I also can't see Notre Dame losing. I don't think Bama's losing. Hey, just out of curiosity, this brings me back to, how about that Indiana game this weekend?
Bro.
Is the Indiana game of consequence at all this weekend? If Indiana loses to Ohio State, are they in or are they out? It depends on how they lose, in my opinion.
Agreed.
And I think that's why I said I think Colorado is critically important to the Big 12. I just don't see.
Gotta have it.
You gotta have it, because the ACC, if the ACC, and I don't even know, the losses would have to mount. But if the ACC gets two in, that's an embarrassment if you're the Big 12, because the ACC is just not a good conference.
Yeah.
Like we were arguing about Boise on the show yesterday. Look at the strength of schedule and make the argument. Show me that you look at Boise State, and this is, again, I know this graphic is going to tweak the nips of the Boise State
Monty,
fans.
you just hate Boise State. You
Monty, when did we ever do, in the comments section yesterday, Monty, what did we ever do to you? Well, buddy, nothing.
Stick to the SEC, Morty.
But the point is, you have the 77th ranked schedule, and you're going to be one of the 4 best teams in the country because you're getting a bye. If they win out and win the Mountain West, they're probably getting a bye.
Right.
And I still maintain, if we're trying to find the 12 best teams, Boise State has no place getting a bye. Sorry, the AQ should go to the power conferences, because if BYU wins out, they are 24 spots ahead of you in strength of schedule. 24. And if you're SMU, and I keep trying to tell people this about SMU, you're 86th in strength of schedule. If SMU wins the ACC, it's very bad for that league.
Yeah.
It's very bad for that league.
And then we're going to sit here and wonder how the SEC and the Big Ten garner all the control.
And excuse me, I forgot to get it. I'll get it right now. Did anybody see what the beloved Greg Sankey tweeted yesterday? You tell me. Is this an accidental tweet? Well, didn't mean to hit send on that one, friends.
Now, before we show this,
Mm-hmm.
because I want to paint this picture for people again, because people don't seem to be putting these dots together.
No, people don't want to hear it.
Yeah. So we go back to, and we took a ton of heat on this here program when we played the Sankey, hey, it's not my job to.
I'm not
help
lowering
people.
myself to you scumbags.
Yeah. So we have the Sankey podcast quote situation that happens
Here, let's play the bite. Here is Greg Sankey talking about not lowering himself to your level.
I don't want to dumb down the Southeastern Conference to be part of some Super League notion with 70 teams that some people speculate would happen. They want to be us, and that's on them to figure it out, not on me to bring myself back to earth.
I love that.
So
Hundo P.
You have this quote. Then we've got the college football playoff system. The SEC's getting more. Everyone's all pissed off. Then we've got the Baylor panic button letter that gets sent out, and the SEC and Sankey and company don't even humor it. And then finally, Greg Sankey wants to do this and wants to talk about strength of schedule. And I got to say, I don't blame dude. I don't blame dude at all.
He
for
ain't
pointing this
wrong.
out. He's not wrong.
He say, here's your demon. The guy's
demon.
you. What a POS this guy is. Well, tell me
Because
he's
it's
wrong.
garbage.
Tell me he's wrong. When he says, interesting to read analysis from others as they examine strength of schedule in college football, ... It does seem there is a trend to be identified. Trolling at its finest.
Dude.
Georgia, #1 across the board.
Right.
Even with Carson back.
Right.
Bama, Tennessee, A&M, Ole Miss. Look at the numbers.
Yeah.
What conference are those guys? Those are all in the ACC, right? No, I meant the Big 12. The MEAC. They're all in
the Big Sky.
No. They're all in the Big East, who doesn't even play football.
Stay hard.
No, they're in the SEC.
Oh.
And again, the reality is, because Mike Smith, Mountain Mama, I don't know if Mike's here today. He never watches the show anymore because he hates me. Because I am famous for saying you don't have to like it. And you don't. But what's the reality? What is the reality,
This
friends?
graphic is the reality, bro.
What is there it is.
What? Sorry, can you get your thank you.
What is the reality here? The SEC plays itself. You played yourself. And your strength of schedule shows you played yourself because you have all the best teams. So you don't have to like it.
Good.
You don't have to like it. But the reality is that when you're Boise at 77 and your SMU at 86 and your Army at 133, if Notre Dame loses to Army, I won't be here Monday.
Pack this thing up. We're out of here.
Oh, wait, if they win Monday, if they beat Army, I won't be here either because I'll be in Hawaii and you won't.
This place is empty.
Couldn't help myself. My point is, if Notre Dame loses to Army, don't ever come in here and defend Marcus Freeman, and he can't count past 10.
If you ain't first, you're last.
That says 133 is the strength of schedule, bruh. I said 133. And you look at the rest of this, and then you look at Ohio State, 28th. Texas, 38th. Penn State, 35. Indiana, 106. Oh, but Monty. No, but Monty's. That's 106.
That's out of the window.
You Google Kurt Signetti. All he does is beat teams on a weak schedule.
Right.
Show me that you can beat Ohio State. Decimation up front. Ohio State's offensive line, Seth McLaughlin tore his Kobe muscle, and he's out for the year. They're decimated on the offensive line. 106. No excuses.
I
Kurt.
win. Google me.
You beat Ohio State. I won't be here Monday bowing down.
Don't worry. I'll have the best of, Kurt Signetti highlight package for Monday.
Here's my promise. If you beat Ohio State Saturday night, I'll Google you. How about that?
My dude over here is just going to tweet a picture of his Wikipedia page.
I've thought about it. I thought about it after they won last weekend of a Google, just a screenshot of me Googling Kirk Signetti.
Google me.
I thought it, but I thought there would be too much red assery there.
Don't worry. You ain't going to have to do that.
I don't think they're going to beat Ohio State at the shoe. And if you do, crown his ass.
More power to you, bro.
Right. That is, I mean.
Already crowned Kurt.
Yeah. And that's why you got to hit the like button right now on YouTube. Give us a like. Hey, if you're watching on Spotify, please come on over to YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Join our great community here. We have so many great commenters. Today alone, and the show's been rolling for 33 minutes. Today, hello. We have 1,000 views and over 400 comments already in 33 minutes. So, hey, I love it. Come on, if you're on Spotify, hello. Thank you to everybody watching the show on Spotify. If you're somebody who likes to rewatch the show, Spotify is a great platform for you. YouTube's a great platform. Both of them are in video form.
And Spotify lets you run it in the background.
Hello, yes, they do.
Which is huge.
Yes, they do. One other thing real quick, one other piece of business. A lot of you are asking me about the number of commercials that you're seeing on YouTube and Spotify. We don't have any control over that. That is all Spotify. That is all YouTube. We don't. On YouTube, I would encourage you to subscribe to Premium.
Yeah.
YouTube Premium, it is cheap, but it is well worth it. You'll never see another commercial.
Yeah, the deal is
Here's the deal.
The problem is that with our show, and it's not a problem, it's a credit to you guys, frankly. You're doing a great job. The problem is that you guys watch for so long every time you watch. Like our average view duration is 27 minutes. So what you're telling YouTube is you like the show. And so what YouTube does in response to that is shows more ads. So unfortunately, if you want to streamline that experience, you're going to have to do YouTube Premium. And I know it's $10 a month. It's not ideal. I think it's $10 a month, but it's not ideal. But if it bothers you that much, unfortunately, that's the route you're going to have to go, because we don't really have a way to dial that back. We don't have a way to say, hey, don't show as many ads. So, it's not like, oh, well, you guys just want all your money. Well, yeah, we do, but it's not really in our control, like what YouTube does. So just saying. And I appreciate that you guys deal with a lot of commercials. Yeah.
I watch the show. I don't, because I have a YouTube Premium membership. So I don't I'm telling you, it's worth it. Hit the like button right now on the channel, please. It helps the channel grow. While we tell you about Prize Picks, Jameis Winston is a Pimp Mac Daddy because he balled out in the snow.
Yeah, the great crotch grabber.
So Jameis Winston, let's recap. Jameis Winston stole crab at a Publix, allegedly, while at Florida State. Jameis Winston in an Uber allegedly grabbed a woman's,
kitty cat juices is not all over the place.
She was unhappy about that. And yeah, then he ignored play calls in New Orleans, so they cut him. And now last night, little Uncle Monty here said, I have a lot of respect for famous Jameis. And
his horses in the pregame.
So yeah, he was so excited. He is one of the best interviews, but he also is a really good pick on Prize Picks last night because I needed him for 217.5 yards. My guy came through with 219. That last completion saved this dude. And then Jerry Jeudy, I told you 47.5 yards. My guy doubled that almost for 85. I'd like to thank, oh my God. Did you guys see Anthony Edwards last night? So Rudy Gobert, who on this show, Monty, let's go Bear.
Yeah, we
know.
We know, dude. We know. It's a shtick.
It's spar down, Sparky. Okay,
Yeah,
just relax.
just chill, dude.
Or as you guys like to say in the comments section, listen, bud. I love that Bud is now back in the vernacular.
Y'all reading all this cap ass shit.
Of the keyboard gangsters.
Right.
Listen, bud. So Rudy Gobert last night posts up in the paint in the fourth quarter, I think with 5 minutes to go.
Yeah. Tie game.
Julius Randle at the top of the key. Extended right. Ant is in the far corner. Dante DiVincenzo is to the right, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker's in the corner. So let me get this right. You're Rudy Gobert. You're going to back a dude down in the paint. Julius Randle refuses to throw Rudy Gobert the basketball. So Rudy Gobert then turns around and pouts. And then Randall's like, come on, dude. You suck. Get out of the paint. And Rudy Gobert turns and waltzes out of the paint. Yeah, we're going to have to blow the whistle because that's a 3-second violation.
Nice job, Rudy.
Thanks, Gobert.
Yeah, nice job.
And you killed Ant 1, 2, or 3 on a flex play last night. Took home $20. Appreciate that.
Yeah, did you all enjoy the snow game? Was that enjoyable?
I thought it was remarkable.
Yeah.
I thought it was remarkable. And Mrs. Monty and I are sitting on the couch. She made the most unbelievable chili last night.
Okay, here, let me help you out here.
And there were some wall shakers this morning in the shower. And I got to tell you, watching the highlights of that game while I was creating fertilizer this morning, I got to tell you that that game was fun to watch.
Yeah.
And if you're not happy for the fans in Cleveland, you're out your mind because those fans have suffered.
I love how Jameis after the game, we can't play it because it's NFL, but,
yeah, NFL
but
Network.
Jameis goes, yeah, I'm standing out there and I just knew it was an NFL Films moment. I just had to come through. Like, come on, bro. You can't honestly tell me you're standing out there in your head thinking, oh, man, bro, all these throws I'm making are going to be on the NFL Films one day. Come on, Jameis. Come on.
Yeah, they're going to put me on NFL. They're not.
You're not that good, dude.
Not unless we got a perp walk from the Publix after you stole that crab, bud.
Yeah, if we're doing an NFL Films episode on how to steal crab legs, yeah, you're going to be first team all crab legs.
And that the one where he ran into the end zone there and his equipment fell off the top of his helmet. Did you guys see that? It's the battery pack for the speaker majiggy thing.
Yeah, the communication
popped
device
out the top of his helmet.
Yeah.
That saved him because of that terrible interception he threw. But the snow game was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I look at the comment section and comment dump. So did I really just see Rich Rodriguez to West Virginia? No. No, the answer is hell no. No.
Bro, that's traumatizing.
No.
Hell no.
Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty. You deposit $5. They'll give you $50 more instantly. Prize Picks, America's favorite daily fantasy app. Tens of millions of users. The Monty Show.
Hey, Monty.
The funny thing is Jake and I send screenshots back and forth to each other.
Okay.
During the night of not of nudes, right? Who are you?
Dad?
Honey, what's wrong?
I got in an accident.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Okay, did you call the police yet?
Yeah, I did.
I'm gonna call an advocate and you can tell us both at the same time, okay?
Hey, Sarah, your dad told me that you need help.
So, is there anything that I need to do? Or...
Just focus on getting better.
With an advocate on your side, you're never alone.
Today's the day. look who I just met.
Hey, Dad.
You deserve a worry-free recovery. You deserve an advocate.
But you guys understand how big this ASU game is for BYU? Like, do you understand how big this loss to Kansas was? Because I truly think Kalani Sitake gets it.
The guys are hurting right now. They're supposed to, but we got to get over it. Just like we have to get over the wins, we got to find ways to be humble and not get down on ourselves too much. We've earned the right to feel better now, and we just got to play better next week. We just won't get this one back, so we just got to find a way to play better next week, and whatever it takes, we got to get it done.
I agree, and he'll never say it. Aaron Roderick, you've got to ask really tough questions of Aaron Roderick in this game. I think BYU's offense absolutely crippled them. It's inexplicable to me that we are in November. What was that? The 16th of November. And you have a guy running down on special teams getting hit in the helmet with a punt. It's a pooch punt. Totally get it. Totally understand it. Are you not prepared for that situation? All you have to do is get out of the way and you win that game. And then don't throw an interception. And then
yeah.
You oh my good gracious.
I mean, if you think about it, they legit handed Kansas probably 3-4 extra opportunities to go down the field and score. I mean, obviously the pooch punt was the most egregious, but even the interception at the end of the first half, like you're going down the field. Like what nobody is saying is you were driving right down the field. No problem.
Just curious, how impactful would a field goal have been there?
Like,
huge.
But you get nothing. And again, and I agree with you, it's a terrible throw. But I don't even care about the throw because the play call is just so incorrect.
The play call, that entire drive, like it is what it is. But I want to play you this one more clip. Then we'll go back to the comment section. Here's BYU wide receiver Chase Roberts. Listen to what he said here.
I just think that we're not executing. I think that we have a great game plan. We knew what Kansas was going to do, and they did what we thought they were going to do. We just need to execute our plays and block and be physical and make the right reads, and we weren't able to do that tonight. We weren't able to score in the red zone. You saw big bursts of our offense was rolling, especially at the end of the second half. We had some drives that were awesome, and if we can just put those together, we're going to win by a lot of points.
They were not surprised by anything that Kansas showed them. Everybody said that, and you could see it. There was no play where they were out of position or just like, it's not rocket science. You know that Scatabo is going to run into your face mask this weekend. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? That's the huge, huge damaging loss for BYU.
That's why it's frustrating.
Like, shocking.
It's frustrating. It's not frustrating that you lost per se. It's frustrating that you lost because you didn't execute. Because again, and it's not just like a lot of BYU fans, and this drives me nuts about BYU fan, respectfully. Like, it drives me nuts that you guys want to say, oh, well, one bad bounce here with the pooch punt or that. Like, no, that's not what it was. It was you guys didn't play well. You like from play caller to Jake to the wide receivers dropping passes. Like, I agree with what you said earlier in the show. How long this year have we been talking about, this wide receiver room just dropping balls that hit him right in the hands? Like, easy, right here, you just dropped it. And that came back to get you.
And again, not to be redundant, this is why Mercer in Alabama. Tell me now that if you could be BYU and you could play Southern Utah this coming week, or Mercer, or it's smart tactically scheduling a cupcake game. And I hate it. I think it should be banned. I think you should have to play. I think once the calendar turns to October, it should be conference games only.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we need a Super League, because you got to eliminate the Mercer game. But I would do it if I were trying to get into a college football playoff and win a national championship. Goddamn right, November against Mercer, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what's anybody going to do about it? I mean, what are you going to, like? You're not going to say anything to those guys.
Now, if you're Clemson, you probably wish you didn't have the Citadel this week, because they need another quality win. Wouldn't you love to have Miami on your schedule this week?
I feel like the formula for the Big Ten and the SEC is very laid out. The yellow brick road is well walked. Like, win a bunch of games early. Once you get to November, have an off week by playing Mercer. And then if you're a 1-loss team, you're in. That's it. And this year, if you're a 2-loss team, you're in.
Yep. Yeah. Is what it is. Let's see. Jeremy Bolton. I'm with Boyd. Brutal night, but still feeling great about this team. I think that if you feel great about BYU, I just am questioning, what is it you feel great about? Because the offensive game plan has been questionable every single week. And not even the game plan, the play calling.
Yes.
The situational play calling by Aaron Roderick has been questionable all season long. Run the flipping football. How difficult is that? When you have LJ Martin, who I've told you from the jump, that's the most important guy on this offense. And look what he's putting out this year. Yet you won't give him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You have Ropati running dudes over, and you won't give him the ball. They were gashing Kansas, and we got to get cute with the play calling. And we still have receivers dropping the football at BYU. Like Retzloff putting it on you, drop. And I understand that drops happen. Not BYU has a catching the football problem at times. It's shocking.
Yeah.
And it's not one guy. It's not just Darius. It's not just Chase Roberts. It's across the board. Where, and again, I don't know, is it paying attention to details? I don't know. Is this team making huge mistakes? Yes, they are. And this week they didn't get away with it.
Yeah, the pooch punt special teams thing is a huge mistake. You should be completely prepared for that. You should understand the situation.
Your defense got off the field. They pooch punted, and it hit your guy in the head. That's what worries me.
Yeah.
The little fine, minute details that will keep BYU out, because a 1-loss BYU team now has only one road to the college football playoff, and that's winning the conference championship.
And I just don't understand where Aaron Roderick goes mentally when he's play calling. I don't understand. Like I completely agree with your take about you were gashing Kansas. You were running the football effectively. Like why not control the game through the run game? Why not, settle the game down a little bit, control it, burn clock, suffocate Kansas. And I'm not saying you got to run it 40 times, but let's run it 25 times. Let's run it 30 times even. And if you want to get cute with RPO, great, cool.
But how many, you dropped 3 interceptions.
Yeah. Again,
do you guys see what I mean about? And I don't mean to obsess over BYU, but
I think it's a great talk.
It's not. They didn't beat Utah because of that penalty call. They beat Utah because Utah didn't make plays.
But what was the difference between Utah and Kansas? They knew they had to have their best against Utah.
They were tuned up. There's no question about that. But you dropped multiple interceptions. You dropped multiple passes. I mean, it's probably, if we're being honest, I bet you I could get to 6-7 incidents in that game if we take into account the pooch punt, the interception in the end zone, bad play calling, drop passes, dropped interceptions. Because largely, especially now that Jay Hill's at the wheel on defense, BYU's in the right place at the right time.
Right.
It's simply, and this is why Isaiah Glasgow is still the best linebacker in the league. But he dropped an interception in a critical moment. Those little things, man. Those little things. The eye patch. Kansas 2-4 heading to Provo. Hilarious. What does that got to do with anything?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Kansas is who BYU thought they were, and they let them off the hook. Yes, Coach Green, they did. Kansas is a really solid football team who, Jalen Daniels is one of the most disappointing quarterbacks in this league. He just puts the ball in places you can't put the ball. And you saw that long completion in the fourth quarter for that first down. How is that ball caught? Oh, because it went through the hands of the DB. It went through Allen's hands, and it wasn't an interception. That's how. Right? So is Kansas a world beater? No. But what were we talking about with Kansas in July and August? That's going to be a team that's going to play for the conference championship. Hugely disappointing team. Can they win games? They can. Will Kansas lose again this year? I'm not certain that they will.
Yeah, I think Kansas is a team that doesn't surprise you with anything they do, but they'll make you pay if you make mistakes, and that's what we saw.
The stadium guy, James, KU turned things around after a bad start because Lance Leipold is a good coach. Yeah, sure.
I guess. I also think you got how many opportunities?
You got a lot of help against BYU.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Mayor Hilarious. Mayor Hilarious.
See what he did there? So that's like an eye patch thing, hilarious and hilarious.
It wasn't one bad bounce Saturday night. It was 10+ opportunities where they just didn't execute. Yeah, I would agree with that.
And that's part of why I don't agree with the take of you should feel good about this team. Are you 9-1? Yeah, but is it a now a 9-1 where you're like, well, did we get a lot of bounces? Did we get a lot of help, or was that us who was 9-1?
You need to go to Arizona State and kick their ass. You need to go in, be the offense we know that this team can be. Jake Retzloff needs to throw that ball to the pylon. Aaron Roderick needs to call more runs because you're just not in. Case in point on BYU for all the idiot eye patches of the world. Do you guys understand that Arizona State had one possession in the third quarter? I wonder what, or excuse me, Kansas had one possession in the third quarter. Do you know why that is? Because BYU's first drive of the third quarter was long, dominating, a grinding drive. Like BYU didn't play terrible. They didn't execute when they needed to. That's the difference between winning and losing. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You have one of the best running backs in the league. You have the best wide receivers in the league, and you won't run the football. You just want to throw it all over the place. And yeah, anyway. Okay. The logic kind of makes Notre Dame look pretty good. Well, so again, I ask.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's not one of the 15 best teams in the country. At least they haven't proven that. And I think most people here know I'm a passionate Notre Dame fan. I think they're going to absolutely dominate Army. And I'm telling you that Riley Leonard is a very average quarterback who could not start on most teams that he'd be on outside of Notre Dame. He's only at Notre Dame because he had one game for Duke at Notre Dame. And Notre Dame's like, wow, look what he did here. We should have him on our team.
Incredible.
Right? Like that to me that doesn't make you a good quarterback. And I think Notre Dame, let's be realistic. Is Notre Dame one of the 12 best teams in the country? They are not. They don't deserve to be in. They've played nobody. And I mean nobody. They, in my opinion, they don't have a quality win.
But just the same way with Miami, everyone wants Notre Dame in. Notre Dame's a brand. Notre Dame's good for TV.
I would agree with that.
And so, whether and I really do think we need to start taking this into consideration. I mean, I don't disagree with your assessment of Notre Dame at all. Like, you don't really have a way to say you're one of the 12 best teams in the country. But the reality is you haven't lost in a long time now. Like your loss is a bad loss, but it's been a long time. And a lot of people look at that and they're like, oh, well, hey, yeah, you had a bad loss, but you're playing better football and we want you in. And so whether you're a team that is, trying to chase your way in and you need a conference championship, or you're a Notre Dame spot, if people like you and they want you in, the reality is that helps your chances, because it's people eating pizza, sitting around a table, talking about teams in your resume. Like, that's what we have. So that's why I think Notre Dame is going to get in, whether or not their schedule says they're one of the 12 best teams or not.
And they're playing the Black Knights at Yankee Stadium this weekend. If this game's even close, it will prove my point, because Army, their best win, yeah, they don't have one. Here's Army, that juggernaut, Army. Lehigh, Florida Atlantic, Rice, Temple, Tulsa, UAB, East Carolina, Air Force, and North Texas. They have not played anybody. I wonder if that's why Notre Dame's a 17-point favorite in a neutral site, not close to South Bend, Indiana. Notre Dame's a 17-point favorite. So if Notre Dame goes in there and wins by 4 scores, is that a good win for Notre Dame? And again, maybe I'm just being a red-ass Irish fan, Are you guys really telling me that quality win over now Louisville? Does Louisville look like a quality win now? It does not. Does Texas A&M look like a quality win now? It does not.
But I do think, and I agree with
Does
that.
Navy look like a quality win now?
But the A&M win, I'm telling you, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but people look at that win and they say, well, A&M at the time, like that's what people do. They say, okay, at the time, was A&M a good win? Well, yeah, I guess at the time, but then that was canceled out by the NIU loss. Like, that's the hard part.
Admittedly, A&M lost to South Carolina, whose 3 losses are Alabama, Ole Miss, and LSU. So I can get down with that. I totally understand it. But the problem with that theory is you lost 44-20 to South Carolina.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, who are we kidding? Who are we kidding? And I don't know what in the world Missouri was doing against South Carolina, because that was a terrible loss. Horrendous. Chris E., hello. Colorado didn't make mistakes like BYU. Colorado have a potent offense with a quality quarterback that puts up points. Kansas ain't beating Colorado. CU's defense is also legit. Colorado's defense is arguably the 3rd best defense in the conference, bar nobody else. Utah's by far the best defense in the conference. I think BYU's in the conversation. Arizona State is not, and I saw that all up in the comment section. They're not. I think Colorado's defense can make an argument that they're top 2 or 3 defenses in this conference.
Yeah, and they make plays.
And how is that possible?
Yeah, I think it's possible because, and we've been saying this since last year, that Prime's got a hell of a coaching staff. And I think you're starting to see the fruits of that labor. You're starting to see that kids are starting to develop. They're starting to make plays. They're starting to be in the right spot. Best example defensively for Colorado is Shiloh Sanders. Shiloh Sanders was undisciplined. You look no further than, what was it? I think North Dakota, or was it Colorado State maybe, early in the season when, you're taking penalties and, playing Bush League football as a safety. And now he's gone away from that and he's improved his game and he's playing good football. And I think that's where I say, like, people did not have faith in Deion Sanders. People did not believe that Deion Sanders would develop his team and would use the portal at a high level, at a high rate, would improve his roster. And now here we are. And they've just gone out and done the absolute best job that they can do. And yes, they're a 2-loss team, but they're still right in the mix to go to the college football playoff. And I think that if Colorado goes to the college football playoff, like, Deion's going to have, that phone's going to be ringing, endlessly for a week, dude. Like, people are going to call him and are going to say, hey, like, you've proven yourself. We believe in you. This is where, would you come and coach our team? I'm telling you, he's going to get a ton of offers. It's going to happen.
And if they go to the Big-12 championship game, which I think is very likely now, because I don't see Colorado losing. And I think the thing that Prime does really well is he sells you on the fact that nobody believes in us. Nobody respects us. Like, nobody, we suck. They think we suck. We don't belong here.
Yeah.
Like, they say your mom's ugly, like all that. And if you look at Colorado, and I understand that game is at Arrowhead, the environment's not going to be too big. The weather doesn't matter. And Colorado's more explosive than you, because Shedeur Sanders is playing unbelievable football right now. Travis Hunter's a Heisman Trophy winner. Just give it to him now.
Yep.
And if he keeps putting up touchdown interceptions a game, forget it. Because I don't know if you are Kansas, you can't play the way you played against BYU. And I think that is as well as I've seen Kansas play this year. If you play that way against Colorado, you'll lose by 3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Because Pat Shurmur's calling an unbelievable offense right now. They're running the ball really well. They're throwing the ball underneath when they need to. And, man, when they take their shots, they don't miss. They don't miss. And Kansas, I think what we learned is Kansas like a tackling fundamental? They're not. They don't exactly tackle real well. So I think Colorado's going to the Big 12 championship. Right now today, I'd take BYU and Colorado, and I think Colorado wins that game by 17 to 21 points.
If Prime wins the Big 12, is he coach of the year?
Has to be.
Right? Like, who else?
How could he not be? That I don't know. Eric and Raleigh. Deanna is going to need a loaner phone to get around all the calls he's going to get.
Do you believe
a loaner phone.
See what he did there? That's like loaner phone and loaner phone.
You know.
Yeah.
You know. Well, whoa, Damian Fowler comment dump there. Sorry. I don't think Texas is superior. I think A&M has a shot, especially in College Station. I think Texas has that defense is fast at Texas. And I think that Steve Sarkisian is doing a masterful job of playing via the musical chairs, if you will, at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Arch is ready. Quinn Ewers, even if he just farts a nasty scent, he's done.
Right.
I don't think Sark would hesitate. I think Texas is ready. I believe in that Texas defense. I really do.
And I think a lot of people stopped believing after the Georgia game. And I just think that's a mistake, man. Like, Georgia's a really, really good football team. Like you're going to lose some of those games. And I understand that you didn't lose in a great fashion either, which I'm a huge believer in. That matters. But the reality is, like, they're deeper than you. They're faster than you. They're all moving in the same direction. Like, they're fine, man. I would not. I mean, I know that that's your opinion, that you believe A&M is better than Texas, but I can't get down with that. You're going to have to show that you're able to beat, that you're able to beat a team the quality of Texas.
And it's you know what the interesting point is? How many big wins are left on people's schedules? There's not, especially in the Big 12.
Is USC a good win?
I don't know how many people saw it, but USC actually won a game this weekend. How about that? USC actually won a game this weekend.
Incredible.
Where are we on fire Lincoln Riley?
Man, I think I still think it's really 50-50. I can kind of get down with both sides of it. For me, like, if he ends the season by beating Notre Dame, I think he probably saves his job. I think because at that point you're wrecking Notre Dame's season, you're ending on a high note, essentially. And I believe if they win out, they become bowl eligible. I think they have to beat Notre Dame to be bowl eligible.
They have to win out.
Yeah. So, you're in a place where if you win out and you end positively, I think he saves his job. But the problem is, and this is a Lincoln thing. I don't care what athletic apparel he's wearing, what brand he's representing. The guy has to somehow, some way, find a way to get his defense to tackle consistently, to show up consistently, because that's the biggest thing. Like, we know this guy is going to have offensive talent, and he'll figure it out that way. But the defense just lets him down time and time again, and that's where I think if you're a USC supporter, or let's say a booster, or someone giving money, you're like, yeah, dude, how long are we going to put up with this? Like,
he's got the 39 strength of schedule, so it's not like he hasn't played anybody.
And to that point, in those games, they've lost most of those games by one possession. Like, they're in the game. They're not getting blown out.
Yeah, we'll see.
But again, you still lost.
You lost.
Yeah.
That's all that people care about.
Yeah.
We'll see. They don't. Tanner Plummer, a member of the show for 22 months. Sup, gang. Should A-Rod be usurped of power? No, he should. You're not firing Aaron Roderick. Dave Aranda kept his job. You're going to fire Aaron Roderick? Come on. What are you talking about? It is what it is. Illumindursky, could a fan poll incorporated into the college football playoff work? No. D-Rock Irish, beware of the Trojan horse in the Coliseum. Yeah, I think the beloved are going to boat race Army this weekend, and then I think there's a real good chance that USC game is going to have massive impact on a lot of people's lives. That game could be ugly. It's fine. Nebraska, Chrissy says, needs to bench wannabe Mahomes. You're not benching Raiola. And a lot of people have talked about this. Isaac Wilson at Utah. And I'll say this about Isaac Wilson as well. I think the kid can play. I think he doesn't have weapons. I don't think Mekhi Bernard walking around with one arm the other day. You don't have a wide receiver of note. Dorian Singer is who we thought he was. Isaac Wilson actually played good football. And I think he can play. And I look at Mahomie Light. I think he can play. And he is very Patrick Mahomes. It's weird.
But I don't know why we're so uncomfortable to say, hey, maybe these guys aren't getting developed at the rate they need to. Maybe they are doing everything
And
they
they're
can.
true freshmen.
Yeah, like maybe they're doing everything they can, and it's just like they're just not ready yet. And this is why I say the next time you hate on Deion or another coach who you didn't believe in, but they're having a ton of success, like Kalani as an example, like give these guys credit, man. They are developing the players they have and getting better.
How do you get Darius Lassiter to Provo, Utah?
Right? Like how?
That's Kwame Lassiter's brother. How do you get him to Provo? I don't know either. I really do not. Illumindursky. The elites in the AP would hate it just as much as they did adding computer rankings. Well, maybe you have somebody other than MLS writers voting in the AP poll.
Yeah.
Maybe you have, I don't know, credentials. That'd be great. Eric and Raleigh. The CFP is already a fan poll like it exists to create games for television. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of those MLS writers and folks who don't watch football every week are fans, like essentially. I mean, yeah, they're air quotes media, but when it comes down to it, they are fans. They're going to vote towards their bias inherently, and that's the problem with the AP. It is the standard. It is the foundation of everything we do in the college football playoff, but that doesn't mean that it's always accurate. That's the thing.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep rolling in the comments section because I also think there's some folks in here like UW fan Jim. Baylor can still win out and get 8 wins. Who cares?
Yeah. Why do we care about that?
You just won't let go of that. Like I'm trying to understand like the Baylor thing. Anybody that's happy that Baylor kept Dave Aranda, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. You're. I don't understand why Baylor. Why, like, if you're not asking real questions about Sonny Dykes after the season, Joey McGuire, we've talked about the mullet. Like, there are coaches in this league where this is not new. Like Kyle Whittingham at Utah. It's shocking what's happened to their season. You're not going to fire Kyle Whittingham. You're not even going to ask questions of him. He already fired his offensive coordinator. You're not going to ask questions of Kyle Whittingham. Should you ask questions about, Mike Gundy in Stillwater? Yes. Are you an average-ass football team at Baylor? Yes. Yes, you are. Why is Dana Holgerson not at Houston? Because they're not interested in running the table to win 8 games. To me, the problem with the Big 12 is they're not all in to win every game. They're not. Because if you were, you wouldn't. Who are you, Iowa with Kirk Ferentz? Like do you want to win or not? And my point is, I don't think Baylor's all in on football. I think Baylor likes winning football games. Oh, Dave's a nice guy. He's a nice guy, and we're going to put a solar panel on his Chrome Dome, and he's going to save us money on the light bill at the stadium.
Program.
Like, what are we doing with this guy? But yet,
But again, look at Oakley Light's a perfect example. How long has Gundy been mediocre there? And everyone refers to him as a god. Oh, well, Monty, he's had 8-win season after 8-win season, 9-win season. Then occasionally he'll pop off for a bowl, a New Year's Six bowl, and then that'll be it. He's great.
SC wants to fire Lincoln Riley. Have you seen how many miles that team's flown this year? SC, they have the money to fire Lincoln Riley. It's 1 year in the Big Ten, and they want to fire Lincoln Riley already. Caleb Williams won a Heisman Trophy 2 years ago, and they want to fire this guy already.
Yeah, because expectations are higher.
Yeah, give Dave Aranda a lifetime contract at Baylor. Like, what? Like, that's what I don't understand. And I hate mediocrity. I hate it. It's what I hate about Notre Dame. That's a mediocre football team. It's what I hate. My Chicago Bears. That's a bad football team. Bad football team. Oh, but Matt Eberflus. No buts. No. It's fine.
Keep telling yourself a
It's
lie
amazing
about how getting extension for Dave Aranda is a good thing. Like,
you're either going in the right direction or you're going in the wrong direction. Because if you're standing still, you're not going in the right direction.
and the fact that you think 8 wins is the right direction is a
That's crazy
problem,
to
bro.
me.
That's a
Crazy
problem
to me. Like, you look at Brian Kelly at LSU. How pissed is LSU with Brian Kelly losing games?
Yeah, I mean, now, like,
huge.
I guarantee you, and maybe it's premature. Say what you want. At LSU, they're talking about Brian Kelly. This season's over. It's disappointing. You're not what you should have been.
It doesn't matter what you do.
Nobody cares, like, what you did. It's not good enough. LSU, the expectation is you're in the college football playoff, and frankly, you're competing for a national championship. That's the expectation. And if you're not going to get it done, they'll find someone who can.
And I think, and I'll probably get whacked for this as well because nobody here tells the truth about their teams. This goes to show you how difficult the Pac-12 was.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, because look at Oregon. Was Oregon ready? Yeah, Oregon was ready. And what's the major difference here? With like Washington, massive changes, roster changes, coach change, all of it.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, you understand why that's a pretty average football team. USC has no excuses. They made major changes on defense, brought in new talent, same result. But, and what I would say about SC is, I at least can sit here and understand why USC has, I mean, look at their road games. Ann Arbor, Michigan, Minnesota, Maryland, and Washington, and then UCLA this weekend. Like they're the team that's like, oh, you guys want to come into the Big Ten? Okay, well, you're going to have to go to Maryland now. Like their home games, they got Rutgers at home, Nebraska at home, and they won. Penn State, that was one of the best games of the year. So, like, I just think it's been a tough transition. Like, look at that schedule and tell me that. Anyway, my point is, I understand why SC's lost. And I understand why people are pissed at Lincoln Riley. I would not fire Lincoln Riley. And if this happens next year, then I'd fire Lincoln Riley.
And the point is at least at SC, you can say, hey, you know what? Like, yeah, your travel's been arduous. It's been a grinder of a season. But Lincoln, hey, that doesn't excuse the fact that you lost at home to Penn State in a game that you clearly should have won. It doesn't excuse, some of these other losses, but also you deserve credit for beating LSU in Vegas and some of the other things that you've done. And so at least there is some positives. But again, I always like to point this out. What the hell is Baylor even playing for? In week
Nothing.
0, if you look at Baylor or anybody else really in the Big 12, I would even put Okie Light in this conversation, frankly. Like, what are you playing for? I don't know either because nobody puts you there.
And why did Ohio State and Michigan say, I'm not playing night games? I'm not taking the late window game at SC. Because they know when you travel across time zones and you're kicking off at 10:15 Eastern time and your kids are half asleep, you're going to lose those games.
Yes.
So that's why you don't see and you don't I would also ask, what time did they kick off at Oregon? Kicked off at 8:00 Eastern, right? They're not kicking off for the late game. I'm just telling you, these leagues are slanted that way, but at least I give USC, the reason I give USC credit, because I want to win and I want to beat the best teams on my path to victory. I've always believed in that in football. I want to see the best of the best every single week. That's why SC joined the Big Ten. SC wants to win national championships, and the money doesn't hurt, right? The money doesn't hurt.
SC is the reason we are where we are.
Yeah, pretty much. So is this a little bit of karma? Sure it is. You fire Lincoln Riley and you are going down a very wrong road.
Yeah, I would agree that Lincoln's one of those guys. If you're going to fire him, you damn well better have a replacement that is as good, if not better, both reputationally and from a resume standpoint. Like, you can't fire Lincoln Riley and go and hire someone's sister's brother or whoever who's never coached a college football game. Like, you got to have someone that's, and that changes every year. The candidate pool changes every year. This coming off season is probably not a good off season to be firing your head coach because, there's not going to be you're probably not firing Brian Kelly. You're like there's not some laundry list of A1 top cut head coaches available. But you need to see what happens for Ohio State in the college football playoff. Like, you need to monitor the Ryan Day situation. You need to monitor all these different situations to go and get a guy who's better, which is why I would agree. I don't think he's getting fired this season, but they're going to talk about it.
Yeah. And I give Dan Lanning a lot of credit. I mean, what Dan Lanning's done at Oregon is nothing short of remarkable. And when did he win? When did he win all these games? Anybody? Transfer portal? That's when he won all these games. He didn't win all these games in, November, October, September, August. No, he won these games in December and February and March. He won these games after spring ball when Dylan Gabriel showed up at Autzen.
But all those Big 12 coaches that everyone's defending in the comment section, they use the portal too, right? Apparently not. They don't. That's right.
But Deion's a jackwagon.
Yeah, Deion's the guy that's the buffoon of the Big 12. Come on, dude.
There is no doubt
that
Lincoln Riley is the cream of the crop as far as the Big Ten goes right now. That program, he won the transfer portal. And you look at Dylan Gabriel in the season that he's had, he's probably going to come second in the Heisman Trophy voting. And deservedly so. Like, they've had a really good year. What Dan Lanning's built at Oregon is superior to what Lincoln Riley's built at USC. That's not even a conversation.
Yeah, Dan Lanning's the best coach in the Big Ten.
I think right now that's very true.
And notice I didn't say the best new coach. Dan Lanning is the best coach in the Big Ten right now, and that would include Ryan Day.
And he beat Ohio State, who had to travel to Autzen.
And I think he'd beat Penn State.
Yes, I would agree.
I don't have any doubt about that.
I would agree with that. And you want to play those games anyway. I could go on. G Joyner, take your mirror locks because both of you are full of shit this morning.
Oh,
Baylor might win 2 more, but there has to be a starting point, which is firing Dave Aranda, by the way. And I think these games have recruiting and transfer implications. So let me get this right. You think that Baylor might win 2 more, but you think keeping Dave Aranda is how you win recruits, and I'm full of shit?
Come on, dude.
I need Miralax because you think Dave Aranda's the guy I don't want Dave Aranda sitting in my living room as anything more than a defensive coordinator who I'd have him on any football team I coached as my defensive coordinator. You're out of your mind if you think that keeping Dave Aranda was a recruiting win. You are out of your mind.
Yeah, you're going to have to explain how that works, dude.
That's
I don't know.
wild.
I don't know. Like, this is soccer writer material right here. I don't know how you look at Baylor and you look at the talent you don't have that's gone other places in the Big 12.
That's wild.
And say that Dave is a recruiting win and that you might win 2 more games. You want to know what the reality is, dude? Nobody gives a damn if you win 2 more games because we're too busy talking about Colorado and BYU winning games that they had no business winning. That's the problem. Like, you should be upset that in a time when the Big 12 has been flipped on its head and, you've got Utah, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, hell, even TCU and K-State all underachieving.
Do you understand you lost to the 4 best teams in the Big 12?
Like, you're not even close right now, dude. And you want to say that we're full of it? Come on now.
You lost at Utah, which doesn't look like a very good loss right now, even though you ended Cam's career. You lost at Colorado. You lost at home against BYU. You lost at Iowa State. And your wins are Air Force and Tarleton, Texas Tech, Oak State, TCU, and West Virginia.
So what's the great win?
Come on.
That should have allowed Dave to keep his job.
And you're going to finish at Houston and Kansas. Dude, anybody defending Dave Aranda as like some great coach, I don't know what Baylor team you're watching.
You understand, just so we're on the same page about the recruiting point.
Good Christ.
You understand, you can go find this for yourself. This is all over the internet. Dave in the preseason this year quite literally said that he has tried to implement being a machine with like being in the facility and preparation, and that he leaves all the media and all the personnel stuff, like being nice to people, to his coordinators. He's not interested in talking to people. He's interested in just getting ready for football games. Like, that's the kind of guy you're talking about here, man. And I appreciate the tenacity in getting prepared for a football game. But the fact is that preparedness or that effort to be prepared isn't translating into enough wins for anybody to care.
It's what I say about people that are like, oh, they're going to win 8 games. Okay, great. And that will do what? That'll do what? Like 8 games will, what is 8 wins? Like, you lost to the good teams and you beat the bad teams. Congratulations.
Yeah, nice job, dude.
That's why this conference, and I will just continue to say this, and I know that I don't really care what other people think. This conference will be a mediocre conference until every team in this league does everything they can do to win football games. As simply as I can say it. If you are not desperate to go undefeated every single year, don't show up. Don't go to spring ball. Don't enroll early. All I want to do is win every single game.
We show up.
And you're just happy with, oh, Baylor's going to win out and win 8 games. Oh, congratulations. Enjoy that shitty-ass bowl game you're going to. Cool, bro.
The Miralux Bowl.
Like, when did it become okay to be a really mid-level, average-ass football team? Who's paying for that? Everybody at Oak State, everybody at Texas Tech, everybody at Baylor.
Yeah, who's paying for it? Baylor's paying for it.
Like,
you just extended this guy.
Sometimes this is what I don't understand. Do we not care about wins and losses? If there's a BYU fan who is not really pissed at Aaron Roderick right now, I don't know why you're a fan of football games. I understand Mom and your Aunt Shirley hanging out being like, oh, BYU, shucks, boys, nice try, though. Okay, cool. They're going to go back, and they're going to get their chai tea lattes with 2 shots of caramel, not caramel.
Right.
Their caramel in the drive-thru this morning. Congratulations, right? And they're going to bitch about their coffee. I'm sitting here bitching because the Chicago Bears couldn't kick a field goal again for the 3rd time this year. And we still haven't fired our head coach. I'm upset because Marcus Freeman can't count to 10 last year against Ohio State. They lost to Kyle McCord in Ohio State. They didn't lose to Will Howard in Ohio State. They lost to Kyle McCord in Ohio State.
That's a great point, dude.
And, that. They lost to Kyle McCord in Ohio State.
No Monties.
I love that people like where is Utah fan this morning? Utah fans' only joy is that BYU lost on Saturday night. Sometimes I just, okay. Starter 179 for $5. I believe this is the first time you've ever commented.
Hopefully it's good.
That's where we are at Tech. We win 8 games every year, but we can't break through. We put $700 million into a facility with a big NIL budget and are stuck.
Yeah,
because you hire and again, and I hope that at some point I'll get credit for this because I say it every time we fire a coach somewhere. It's not that you fired somebody; it's who you hired to replace the guy you fired. If you fire Joey McGuire, and you're not going to, let's say you fire Joey McGuire, who are you going to get to replace him? Who are you going to get?
Who wants that job?
If you fire Matt Eberflus and the Chicago Bears, you better be able to get one of 2 guys, Ben Johnson in Detroit or Bobby Slowick in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't, don't fire him. Because it's all well and good. And I think this is part of the problem at Baylor. Is Baylor football an attractive job? No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. When is the last time Baylor's truly been relevant week in and week out? Never under Dave Aranda. Competitive, yes, but we're not trying to be competitive. But apparently 8 wins with their schedule is lifetime contract. Again, Indiana. I understand why Indiana extended Kurt Cignetti for like a half-life because you've never been relevant in football. Now you are. I don't think any of us believe that they're one of the 12 best teams in the country. I certainly do not. But when is the last time they were top 5 in anything? I don't remember. It may have never happened. Mayor Hilarious, a member for 22 months. Yeah, as a BYU, of course I'm pissed. They played awful against Kansas, but maybe this will light a fire under the belly and they'll come out and smoke ASU. It better. We're going to find out who Kalani Sitake is as a motivator this week. I would expect, and this is a really good example, as usual, by the mayor. I would expect the detail in preparation this week to show up on the practice field and then show up in Tempe. I would expect guys not to be dropping passes. I would expect Jake Retzloff to be a significantly better quarterback than he was against Kansas. I'd expect that because you beat Kansas. Again, if you're just tuning in, talking about BYU and Kansas, every statistic paints a picture of a BYU win. They don't keep stats on play calling. They don't keep stats on really terrible throws. They don't keep stats on really poorly timed drop passes. How many routes are we going to run? And we talked about this last week.
Yes.
How many routes are we going to run that's a yard and a half short of the first down marker on 4th down?
Yeah.
Not paying attention to details. And I believe that was Chase Roberts.
It was.
Yard and a half short. How is that even possible?
Yeah. And I think that, it's what I say about, again, this is going to piss BYU fan off, but right now you look like a mediocre team. You're 9-1, and you look like you don't pay attention to detail, and you look like you don't know how to execute. That's what you look like nationally.
Yeah.
And that's the problem is that you're going to go and play a team in ASU that is just as tough, if not tougher than you, and wants to beat you up running the football. And so when you talk about attention to detail and preparing for this game, the thing I think about is gap integrity and making the tackle 2 yards in and not letting Cam Scatabo get to 5-6 yards on you. That's what I think about. I don't want to see this ASU team turn around and hand it off 35 times on Saturday and you give them 5 yards a carry. That doesn't work if you want to go to the Big 12 championship game and have any chance.
I think Baylor's the perfect example of these conversations. It is shocking to me that they extended Dave Aranda. I don't.
The difference is at schools like Baylor, with all due respect, philosophically, you don't care about winning a national championship.
Not in football.
Not only do you not care in football, agreed. In basketball, it's a different story. But in football, you don't care enough to say, hey, it's not good enough, Dave. You don't care enough to say, yeah, Sawyer Robertson is just nice kid, solid little
good quarterback,
but not good enough to like go out and win us some ball games when we're really struggling. Not good enough to get us over the hump. Not probably what
and especially
we need.
when your president is the one trying to get everybody at the table to talk about forming a super league.
Yeah, sending a panic button letter to all the conference commissioners and leadership. Come on, dude. Yeah. I just Baylor screams of an institution and a fan base that wants so badly to say that they're having a good season, and that's just not the case, bro. It's just not.
It's not. UW fan Jim, relax, Monty. I wasn't even defending Aranda, but you're rooting for Baylor to win 8 games, and you think that's significant. That's the low bar. Do you guys like BYU? BYU winning 8 games with all of the challenges that they face even before they recruit a kid is incredible. Being 9-1 is incredible. It's unbelievable, unthinkable. But why isn't Kalani going to be the coach of the year? Because Deion Sanders has real expectations. So you put Deion Sanders at Baylor. Do you think he's trying to win 8 games and that would be an incredible season?
Nope.
Deion Sanders has one goal: win every game and go to the college football playoff. That's one goal.
And the difference is, and this is what all the Baylor Miralax guys don't want to talk about, is nobody wants to play for Dave Aranda, dude. Nobody wants to play for half of these coaches. Why do you think Deion has had so much success so far? Like, it's taken him less than 2 seasons to be in contention to win the Big 12.
It's SMU agreeing to take no money from the ACC.
Yeah, which from SMU's side, again,
hey, great.
All due respect to SMU, that looks like a pretty good move. Like, that's, like, I criticized them, but hey, you're now in contention to win the ACC. You're now looking at making money through the college football playoff. Like, that's worked out for you. But for the ACC, that's a terrible move.
It's a terrible move.
You look like a clown conference, bro. You look terrible. Awful.
Yeah, like that is, yeah. Yeah. Jeff Seal. Baylor was so bad for all those years in the Big 12. 8 wins is gold. I guess so. I just am, I don't know. Maybe it's just Red Ass Monday. Maybe instead of I told you so Monday, it's Red Ass Monday.
No, what it is it's frustrated that the Big 12 doesn't have a high enough bar of success Monday. Every single Monday, we sit here and we talk about, hey, well, half this conference, 3/4 of this conference right now this year, nobody cares about, nobody's watching, and they're not relevant in the conversation. And I love Kyle Whittingham. You're not relevant. I'm not watching the Utah game for Utah. I watched it for Colorado to see how they'd handle that defense so we could project forward into the college football playoff.
But I'll say the same thing. Apply the Aranda theory to Kyle Whittingham. Kyle Whittingham was going to be disappointed if they didn't win a conference championship and go to the college football playoff this year. The bar was not, oh, wow, they won 8 games. Wow.
Man.
Somebody get Mr. Clean a contract extension.
In addition to that Ram truck.
That's crazy to me. I think it's Dave Aranda is a really good defensive coordinator. I would have him on any college football team as a defensive coordinator. That guy can't be your head coach, and then you make the argument that you're doing everything you can do to win a national championship.
Dad?
Honey, what's wrong?
I got in an accident.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Okay, did you call the police yet?
Yeah, I did.
I'm going to call an advocate, and you can tell us both at the same time, okay?
Hey, Sarah, your dad told me that you need help.
So, is there anything that I need to do? Or...
Just focus on getting better.
With an advocate on your side, you're never alone.
Today's the day. And look who I just met.
Hey, Dad.
You deserve a worry-free recovery. You deserve an advocate.
We need to talk about Utah Athletic Director Mark Harlin. And Mark, I'm talking directly to you. This is a big deal. And I understand that there was a fine issue. Doesn't mean a thing. The cash doesn't matter at all. Mark, you're better than what we saw you put out there early Sunday morning, late Saturday night. I have never in my entire career that spans more than 30 years covering athletics seen an athletic director do more damage to a brand than Mark Harlin did to the University of Utah on Saturday night and have so few consequences of note for his actions. And Mark, I've said this 100 times. I said it on Twitter over the weekend, and I mean this as sincerely as I can say it. Mark Harlin, you are one of the best administrators in all of college athletics. Not even really in question. The quality, the work you've done, the programs you've built, the success that Utah has seen under your leadership as the athletic director at the University of Utah. But here's a couple of issues with the conduct that Mark Harlin put out there on Saturday night. Mark, this is not your first time. Whether it was attacking Dennis Dodd on Twitter with the, oh, give me a break tweets during the Pac-12 meltdown, all of those things, those are inconsequential until you melted down on that dais Saturday night. Mark, you're better than this. Sitting up on that dais, ripping the Big 12, sitting up on that dais, ripping those officials is not your job. It is below your pay grade. And frankly, the University of Utah deserves a leader who understands who he is, where he is, and what his responsibilities are. Mark, you've got to be better than this, because for the first time, I think probably in your entire career, and for the first time that I can remember, when talking about the University of Utah, who on this show, ask any Oak State fan who routinely loses their mind when we say anything remotely nice about the University of Utah. Mark Harlin, for the first time, you damaged the University of Utah. You damaged the Big 12, and frankly, the University of Utah and the Big 12 deserve more than a 4-line apology that really wasn't an apology and you paying a $40,000 fine. That doesn't unwind the watch. Are you pissed you lost a game? Yes. Let your football coach throw a chair. That's how you express your dismay. Then what you do is you get on the phone and you talk to the commissioner of the league. Behind closed doors, not in a public forum. Mark Harlin, you need to get in front of the media, and I don't mean on your mouthpiece of a radio station who's never going to ask you a difficult question. Mark, you need to do a TV interview in the great state of Utah, and you need to freaking own how bad your conduct was on Saturday night, because, Jake, I don't even think it's arguable. And again, I will say, for the first time, I believe Mark Harlin not only damaged the University of Utah, but I believe he damaged the credibility of the Big 12.
I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. And I was really surprised that Mark put himself in that situation. I obviously haven't been covering the game for 30 years, but we've spent a ton of time covering Utah, and specifically for me, like how Mark Harlan handled himself through, first of all, Pac-12 expansion before, and then realignment, obviously. And now you're in the Big 12, like through that process, like Mark Harlan was elite and built a reputation for, being one of the best administrators in all of college athletics. And I still think that guy is in there somewhere. But the problem is that when you choose to, go out and do what you did with the press and basically say like, hey, just left the locker room, and this is how I feel. Like, it was very clear that's what happened. And I think that, it's just unfortunate, man. It's one thing to lose the game and for everyone to be losing their mind on the field. There's all kinds of video and stuff going around about, Witt and Harlan, ripping the officials a new one on the field. And it's just not a great look. But overall, yeah, this sense of like, hey, Mark Harlan, you're an athletic director, not a head coach. And frankly, like, you're the guy that's supposed to go and have the conversation with Brett Yormark and kind of handle all of this behind the scenes like you did before. I just am really surprised that that's how you chose to go about it. And I understand you're a human being, man. I understand emotions get the best of us sometimes, but unfortunately, you're paid to not make that mistake. You're paid to represent the university and represent the Big 12 in a certain way. And you didn't do that. And that's unfortunate.
Huge mistake. Huge mistake. And let's show you what we're talking about if you missed it. I think it's really important to deliver context. I think it's really important to understand. Obviously, we are talking about the Holy War. It was passionate. It was a hell of a football game.
Completely lived up to it.
Absolutely why I told you all last week, really for the last 2 weeks, it's the greatest rivalry in college sports, bar none. It is the emotion. It is the absolute vitriol from one side to the other and vice versa. It's everything you want in a major college football game. It is so special. And it was sullied by the actions of Utah Athletic Director Mark Harlan after the game. Here's what should have happened. Kyle Whittingham handled himself, I think, perfectly right here.
Today, I couldn't get that last stop, and we needed it, unfortunately. That's kind of been the story for several games. We play lights out and just can't get that one last stop. Thank you.
KSL Sports with the video there. I have no problem with it.
No.
People were ripping Kyle Whittingham for tossing a chair. He just lost his fifth game in a row, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He lost to Utah for the second straight time. He should be pissed. He should be upset.
I mean, let's say it perfectly. He lost the only game that matters on your schedule.
Correct.
Right? Like, you lost the only game that anybody was talking about based on where you're at in the season. And I agree, losing 5 in a row for Witt's going to be frustrating, but that's not why he's throwing that chair. He's throwing that chair because they were clearly prepared. They looked really good on defense. They held that BYU team down like nobody has this year.
The defense absolutely lived up to it.
And what he said there is spot on. You could not come up with the play you needed to close the game. And we'll get into the penalty in the game, but I thought that behavior was spot on.
Yeah, I think what you saw in that presser from Kyle Whittingham, not just the loss, the way it went down, his frustration with the officials, Kyle Whittingham handled himself with dignity and class after that game. his comments about Brant Keithy, who it's just so disheartening that Brant Keithy got hurt again and is out for the year. It's been the story of this season that you've had so many great Utes have their careers come to an end through injury. It's hurtful. And you look at how the head coach at Utah reacted to that, totally understand it. And then Mark Harlin completely, lost himself in these comments.
This game was absolutely stolen from us. We were excited about being in Big 12, but tonight I am not. We won this game. Someone else stole it from us. Very disappointed. I will talk to the commissioner. This was not fair to our team. I'm disgusted by the professionalism of the officiating crew tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, it is horrendous. It's the worst, one of the worst things that I have ever seen an athletic director do. You took all of the focus off of the football game. You took all of the focus away from, you took all of the influence away from your storied, historically good head coach. When an athletic director in a power conference met with the media after a loss, not to announce the firing of a coach, not to whatever, I can't even think of a reason an athletic director would go up to a dais like that.
Right.
It is a breach in ethics. It is a breach in responsibility. And then to go after the Big 12, because all this does is perpetuate this notion that Utah does not want to be in the Big 12. And again, what did we get on Twitter over the weekend, Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon? Oh, they should have gone to the ACC. And Ute fan talking about how Utah was going to the ACC. Utah was never going to the ACC.
Yeah.
There were two options, the Big 10 and the Big 12. And I can tell you straight away, it's on the channel. Go watch it. The University of Utah respected and has always treated the Big 12 with respect. That's it. That's the whole sentence. Always have, I thought always will, until Saturday night when Mark Harlin absolutely breached his, what I would call a fiduciary responsibility to represent the University of Utah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it should be described as he met with the media, because that's not what he did.
He did not.
I think that what Mark Harlin did is, if you look at, so the game ends and we have all this miscellaneous, and I didn't get any of it because it's pretty low quality stuff. Like it's very loud, it's post game on a football field. But like, there's all this video of Mark Harlin like going after this official and pointing his finger
while the official is making an on mic announcement in the stadium.
Yeah.
Talking about unsportsmanlike conduct against Utah. The game is over. Mark Harlin standing there pointing his finger and yelling at him. It is completely unprofessional. And then not only to do that, then to go to the locker room, then to leave the locker room and go to the dais, it's unacceptable behavior.
Yeah.
And a $40,000 fine does not quite cover it. Here's the statement from the Big 12 right here, fining Mark Harlin. I don't know what other choice did the Big 12 have? None. There is nothing you can do but to fine him. $40,000. If I'm a Utah fan, I am starting a GoFundMe and I am paying that fine for him. And if he doesn't want it, I'm donating it to the Crimson Club.
Yeah.
Okay, $40,000 is nothing. It's nothing. What Mark Harlin did was so much more than damage himself. If Mark Harlin had damaged himself, this wouldn't even be a discussion.
Well, and I think to that point, the part at the bottom there, the second paragraph,
Mark's comments irresponsibly challenge the professionalism of our officials and the integrity of the Big 12.
So that's the thing. Like, some people
said it, Brett Yormark.
Yeah, some people may, and when I say people, listeners of the show, average Joe fan, the masses, will react to this and say, oh, well, you guys are being hard on Mark Harlin. You guys are, and it's like, no, dude. Like, if you look at the statement that Brett Yormark put out, if you look at the general landscape in college football, you would never see an athletic director do this. There's a reason you're an AD, not a head coach.
And again, I want to make this point clear. If you've watched this show for any amount of time, This is the guy I said should have been the commissioner of the Big 12 when you fired Larry Scott. This is a guy I've told you on the show is one of the best athletic directors in the country. And until Saturday night, he was. I can no longer say that because he has not handled his responsibility. This was, what did you just, we were playing golf together yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
What did you describe this as?
I mean, I out of character. My initial reaction was, hey man, like this is not who Mark is. This is out of character. Like I would not expect this from Mark Harlin. It's not who I've known him to be. Like,
and then as I said to you, then I'll say to you now, this isn't, unfortunately, that's just, you didn't just lose yourself in a moment. It was fine.
And I have to say, I forgot about the Dennis Dodd thing. I did. Like
it was fine until I expected Mark Harlan to come out and issue a blanket apology. I messed this up. This is my fault. I should never have said that. This does not reflect the University of Utah. This does not reflect the football program. I made a mistake here. I thought that's what he would do. And if he had done that, I would be sitting here today telling you, you know what, this guy, this was an emotional moment after a game. It's the holy war. He had just met with his players. Yeah. Brant Keithy's career is over. Kyle Whittingham's upset.
In that moment, the officials cost him the game.
He lost himself in that moment.
Yeah.
Listen to his apology. That none of that happened because what did Mark Harlan do? He issued a statement. Just put it on paper. Nah, I'm not going to go on TV.
Again, I have said this, and this is not unique to Mark. I hate this process. I hate that dudes, whether it's an AD, a head coach, whoever, I hate in sports that we do this. We're more than happy, Mark, to after the game go and meet with the media and rip the officials and rip the Big 12 and again, not trying to be mean, but act childish because that's what that was.
Not childish. He acted unprofessionally.
Yeah.
His conduct was beneath his position.
Yeah.
And you just can never, and then to issue this apology last night, you're apologizing after you got fined $40,000 and you got your ass chewed. I'm told he got a pretty significant ass chewing from the Big 12. So all that went down, and then you issued this apology. This apology, that's not an apology. You opened your apology with, I made clear my feelings related to the game officiating. Mark, you should have never said 2 words about the officials. Frankly, you shouldn't have said 2 words, period. However, I recognize that there are more appropriate times and avenues to express those concerns. Not, I should never have said that. Not, I used the wrong language. Not, I lost myself. There were more appropriate times and avenues to express those concerns, and I accept the consequences for my decision, which, frankly, there are no consequences here.
Yeah.
I respect Mark Harlan. I respect him less today than I did on Friday.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I'm not really sure why we're apologizing. Like, you know how in baseball, when something happens and the manager goes out to intentionally get thrown out of the game, there's no apology issued. You knew what you were doing. You made a choice. Like you're acting out to prove a point. Notice we're not getting an apology from Witt for throwing a chair because that's in accordance with what a head coach would do. So the apology, Mark, the apology isn't about like what you said. The apology should have been, hey, like my behavior throughout Saturday night just wasn't, I got way too invested in this game. Because that's the problem. This is, I think the best way to describe it is he should be above this. There's player, coaching staff, and then way up here, there's AD.
I just can't express this enough. You can't do this. You can't do this. I think if it was any other athletic director, I would be contemplating terminating him. It's that serious. I'm not even exaggerating. But this guy, I don't even know how to just, you guys just, I will probably think I'm kissing ass, or I don't really care what you think about me or my opinion. The facts are undisputed. This is one of the best administrators in the country.
Yeah.
This guy, Mark Harlin, the athletic director at Utah, is everything you want in an athletic director. I would love him to be the athletic director at Notre Dame. But now you got to set this right. Mark Harlin, he needs to go on TV and he needs to completely walk this back. Period. Done. End of story. Don't go on your local mouthpiece radio station.
Nobody's listening, dude.
Don't go do an interview with a newspaper. Go on. I would, if I were Mark Harlan, frankly, I would go on SportsCenter. I would go on ESPN. I would go and do the talking head shows. And I would say, I need to get this out. I am really sorry for what I said. It was a huge error in my part. I got lost in the moment. I disrespected my university. I disrespected the Big 12 conference. And there's no excuse to be made for that. No, what Mark Harlan should say is no call in a game merits the words, the language, and the vitriol that I lobbed at BYU, the disrespect of their players, their coaches, and their football program, the disrespect of everybody who works so hard to build the Big 12, everybody at the University of Utah, from the groundskeeper to the linen washer guy, I disrespected all of them. I took them all for granted. I took my job for granted. And I apologize for that.
And by the way, I think it's a really good point. In his apology, he does reference BYU. So it's on his mind. He's hearing about it. That's the thing.
And you guys, again, and then we got to talk about the game.
Yeah.
I want you to understand what Mark Harlan did is unforgivable. There's no fixing this, but he's got to try. BYU won that football game. It was not taken from you. It was not stolen from you. There are calls in every football game. The biggest issue here is you wanted to lay the blame at somebody else's feet. And you disrespected everybody by doing it. And I just will continue to tell you, this is not an apology. You don't open it with, last night following the game against BYU, I made my feelings clear to the game officiating. My feelings related to game officiating. This is one of the damage that Mark Harlan did to the University of Utah is they will never recover from that. The University of Utah will forever be disrespected and unappreciated in this conference. And have they earned that?
They have a reputation now.
Yeah. Now you have earned that reputation.
Yeah. Now you have a reputation.
And somehow, some way, the athletic director is responsible for that.
Yeah. And the only way to fix it is by winning football games. That's it. Don't talk, just win.
It has never been their fault. You have never heard a Utah official say we're going to dominate this league. You've never heard a Utah official disrespect the Big 12. You've never heard Kyle Whittingham, any of his coaches, Morgan Scalley hugging Jake Retzloff after the game, which pissed off so many Utah fans.
Which I just don't understand.
You've never heard anybody at the University of Utah disrespect this league until Saturday night. And now you just validated all the hyenas out there who said you guys hate the Big 12 and you're only here because the Big 10 wouldn't let you in. Now I can't say I disagree.
Yeah, I think the fallout from the Holy War is something that, I think wasn't talked about a lot. And obviously, last week, nobody, when you're talking about the Holy War and previewing it and thinking about how it's going to go down. And, we talked about the emotions. You talk about, why it's the best rivalry in college football and likely, a top 5 rivalry in all sports. Athletic director at Utah, going nuclear after the game was not on the list. And,
no.
And I think that it's one of these deals where I agree with everything you've said about Mark, the damage, like all that. I agree with the apology piece, all that. I think the hard part for me is that Mark is a good human being. And the problem is it's just like, this is what the Holy War does to people. I hope you know, whether you're a Mountain Mama fan or, you know, a SEC fan or whatever, I hope that you look at this and you understand this is what this rivalry does. It produces things that we do not see. Yeah, it eats people.
It eats
exactly.
people. This
Exactly.
rivalry, do you guys understand that this game hadn't been played since 2021 and nobody at the universities was really that upset about it?
Yeah.
Because this happens every year. Max Hall's mom happens every year. Every year. And it is, now you're going to get it every year.
Which
and
I'm thrilled about.
I'd be shocked if Kyle Whittingham retired after this season. Had they won this game, I might very well have said, you know, with the Cam and the Keithy and you beat BYU going out on a high note. Okay, I could have. You don't have the emotion that he had. You don't have the fire and brimstone that Kyle Whittingham showed on that day. Listen to this cat, and you tell me, do you believe this is a guy who's like, yeah, I'm done. I'm retired.
Today, I mean, yeah, I couldn't get that last stop, and we needed it. Unfortunately, that's kind of been the story for several games. We play lights out and just can't get that one last stop. Thank you.
Yeah, he's retiring. He's lost his.
Yeah, dude, he's done. Yeah, you know,
he doesn't love the game anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Just
stay hard.
He's gonna go hang out with his wife.
Yeah, you know,
that guy's not retiring.
No big deal.
I'd be stunned. I could be wrong. I don't know Kyle Whittingham. The people at Utah tell me he's not retiring. People I know up there all are as convinced as ever he would never leave. He would not retire with his football program in this shape.
No.
And I agree.
No,
I agree with him. All right, let's get your comments in here. Your reaction to Mark Harlin, the athletic director at Utah. Your thoughts on, is damage the right word?
Well, I think certainly it's hard to measure the damage done to the Big 12 or the school itself. I think.
Oh, I don't think it is.
Well, okay.
You think it's hard to measure the damage that was done to Utah?
He's just. You know, he's hurt the image of the Big 12. He's hurt, like, because we don't really, I mean, you get moments like this out of head coaches in the SEC, but you don't hear from athletic directors in the SEC. You just don't. You couldn't tell me who the athletic director at, you know, Brandon School is in the SEC. That's like, they're just ghosts. They do their job. You don't hear from them. They're super disciplined. Like, that's just how it works. And I think that, you know, to me, like the Monday following this incident, like to me, the biggest thing is your reputation for Mark Harlin personally, and then the reputation of the school and the Big 12.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt that when you turn on the college football talking heads today, they're going to be talking about what Mark Harlin said. And they're going to be talking about Utah. And sadly, we're talking about Utah and not BYU because of what Mark Harlin did. That's the saddest part about this.
Yeah.
Is that BYU is undefeated and is going to have to lose 2 of 3 games left on their schedule in order not to make the college football or not to make the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah.
You understand now that they've essentially clinched a spot in the Big 12 championship game as long as they win 2 more games. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
And Mark Harlan's a bigger story today than BYU football.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks. It sucks. That's what I'd say. Okay, let's get some of your thoughts in here. Lopes fan Gabe, good morning to you, sir. Hello.
Monty and Jack Casuals.
That's right. The Monty and Jack Casuals.
Yeah. Okay. Nice,
That's exactly
dude.
right.
Nice.
Good to see you, my friend. In Mark's statement, it seems like he doesn't take back the things he said about the refs. He doesn't.
He doesn't. Not at all.
It wasn't an apology.
Yeah.
This was in Tanner. It's part of the biggest issue I have with Mark Harlan is I know this guy to be a man of integrity and ethics. Well, I did until Saturday night and then Sunday when he released a statement and didn't apologize. It's not enough.
Yeah.
It's simply not enough. It is amazing to me.
Yeah.
San Diego State, Glenn, Utah just may get the pro rata it deserves after those comments. 40K was kind, in my opinion. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think 40K was just like it's like in the NBA when dudes rip the officials. Here's a fine. Like that's what that is. It's more like I agree, and I'll be really curious to see what Mark does moving forward. You know, like because for me, I disagree with how that that statement, you know, was written, and I would agree. Like you need to do more to fix it, but will he do more? Do they feel they need to do more?
No, I don't think he does. I think he thinks that this is enough. I think he thinks this statement right here is this covers all. It doesn't cover your bases, sir. You're better than this apology.
Well, and the other thing too is like in the middle of the statement, they're talking about how, hey, I just left the locker room.
My
and our
comments
kids
came
were...
after having just left our locker room where our student athletes were hurting and upset.
Like that doesn't make it okay.
No, you're a parent. This is what parents do, man.
Yeah.
This is, and I the thing that you said while we were playing golf yesterday that resonates is this isn't the athletic director's job.
Yeah.
This is below his position. This is not. You just don't do that. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I agree with it wholeheartedly. Eric Wasikowski, Monty telling others they acted unprofessional. That's rich. Okay. Well, there's the door, dude.
Yeah. See you later, bro.
And donuts, no apology. Maybe he stands by what he said. Yeah. Which you can't do.
Yeah.
And I think that this is a really good comment, and donuts as usual from you. I think he does stand by his words. I think he believes what he said.
Do you think and this is what I was pondering on Sunday while we were golfing. Did Mark Harlin, field, locker room, after the locker room, did Mark ever say to himself, man, I really want to go to the media and just absolutely tear the Big 12 a new one? Should I do that? I'm curious if that ever happened for Mark in his head.
Well, but wait. You make a really good point. What order did it happen in? Field, locker room, media. What did he say in this statement? And here's one of the things that I'm glad you said that because I forgot this part. He said, my comments came after having just left our team locker room where student athletes were hurting and upset. Yeah, the only problem with that is you berated the official on the field before you ever went to the locker room. So you had lost yourself before you ever walked into the locker room and Brand Keithy was out for the year. Mm-hmm. You had lost yourself before kids were hurting and you were yelling at the official and pointing at him while he was on national TV while he was trying to make an announcement over a hot mic. Mark, you're better than this. That's what bothers me so much about this situation, right? It's not that Utah lost the game. It's that you lost yourself, Mark. You're better than this. You're an elite administrator. You're one of the best in your industry.
Is part of it for you like just the disappointment of the whole thing?
Part of this for me is I am really disappointed in Mark Harlin.
Yeah.
I don't have one of my great advantages is I don't have a dog in the BYU Utah fight.
Right. We're just here enjoying it.
I'm just fortunate enough to live in the state of Utah and understand the landscape and have the great fortune of talking to BYU and Utah fans. And
right.
The outcome of the game, I just want a great game. And boy, was it. I'm really disappointed in Mark Harlin today. I've sat up here on this show and defended him for years.
Yeah.
I thought he handled himself brilliantly during the Pac-12 meltdown. I can't tell you enough. And maybe I just need to keep saying it. I've been doing this for a long time, man. This is the only gig I've ever had since I was 16 years old at the great WKRS in Waukegan.
Yeah.
It's the only gig I've ever had. I've covered a lot of Titans. I've covered a lot of athletic directors. I've covered a lot of really, really amazing administrators. I've never seen a guy bury himself like this. I've never seen a guy just absolutely in front of the entire college football world put his credibility on the table, pour gasoline on top of it, and then light a match and just burn it up.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
shocking.
Part of me, and I wish I had the opportunity to ask Mark this directly. I really do, because I would love to know what he would say to it. But part of me really wonders, like, to what we're talking about with the sequence of events, like field, then locker room, then media, like right there. And what I would ask Mark is, hey, when did you make the decision that you were going to go to the media and say all this stuff? What did you make a decision, or were you just fueled by the emotion of it and so pissed off that it was just like, hey, all right, I'm done ripping the official on the field. Let's go check in on the kids and probably talk to Witt in the locker room for a minute. And then probably because let's be really honest. We as dudes know how this goes down, right? When we're upset with something in life that involved our friends, because that's what they are. That's what Whit and Mark are. They're friends, right? They're close work colleagues. Like, we know this. This is not new. So I'm guessing, again, my opinion, guessing, not saying this is facts, but Field, go to the locker room. You walk through the locker room to get to Whit's office, let's say. You have a conversation, a 5-minute conversation with Whit. And then right there, was there a decision to go? Was this intentional? That's what I want to know, because I agree, I'm disappointed that you said this, but I'd be more disappointed if you said, yeah, you know what? We're so pissed off that I, as an AD, feel the need to go and do this.
And this is where you need, and again, just because I have experience with this, their sports information department at the University of Utah, elite.
Mm-hmm.
The best
Mm-hmm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Who said no to Mark Harlin? Somebody needed to stand in front of him and say, you can fire me, but I'm not going to let you go up there and do this. And I don't know. Maybe he didn't tell anybody. And if Mark Harlin didn't tell anybody what he was doing, he just went into the media room, because for those of you who don't know, the way this works is the game ends. The media comes. It's a pretty good journey at Rice-Eccles Stadium. From the press box, you got to take elevators all the way down, and then you go into the press room. My guess is, because Mark Harlin, this is all in that new South End Zone complex underneath it.
Yeah.
Mark Harlin berated the official on the field, went into the locker room, consoled players, probably shared a moment with the coaches and Kyle Whittingham. And my guess is everybody in that locker room and in that coach's room were bitching about those calls.
Yeah.
They were upset about the holding call. They were upset about and Mark was like, you know what? You're right. And then he probably either said in his mind right there, I'm going to go do this, or walked out of the coach's room because Whit was like, I got to go meet the media. I got to go do the press. And that may have, I don't know how the process went. My guess is Mark Harlin never went to his people and said, I'm going to go meet with the media.
No, it was too fast for that to have happened.
I think so. And so I'm not trying to take this too far. I would suspend him if I were the University of Utah for the rest of the calendar year. You were fined $40,000. You're suspended for the rest of the calendar year. I think he did enormous damage.
Just to put that into perspective, because there's some sticker shock there. The rest of the calendar year is like, what do we got? 5 weeks left. I mean, and the guy's taking PTO for 2 of those weeks already. Like, you know, so it's not,
you just don't do this.
Yeah.
You just don't do it. And I am shocked. I'm truly sitting in front of you, and this is not hyperbole or exaggeration. I am stunned he did this. I am stunned by it.
Yeah. What else we got?
Tanner Plummer, ladies and gentlemen, the program that's supposed to run the Big 12, dude. Yeah, eye patch. Fact is, nobody wants to win a game like that unless you're a TDS fan. Win a game like what? Here's the other part of this, Utah fan. You got beat.
Yeah.
BYU's a better football team than you.
Yep.
There were so many missed calls during the game. That call at the end of the game, the holding call, was absolutely, unquestionably a penalty. I don't want to hear, well, you can't call that there. Sure you can. It's a penalty.
What do I always say with the Chiefs? And this is the point I was making on Twitter and in our members only group. Oh, you can't call it there. Can't call it there. Can't call it there. Well, how could they not call it there? The penalty you committed had a direct impact on the play.
And it was an egregious penalty. Like, he tugged him down.
The DB got beat. That's what you don't want to say. At DBU, your boy got beat.
And I could go back to the very consequential face mask call on Isaiah Glasker.
Yeah.
There were calls all game long. All game long. The bottom line is, Utah fan, you didn't score any points in the second half. As usual, BYU, as they have shown this entire year, Jay Hill and his defensive staff were elite at halftime adjustments. He got beat by a better football team. And I'd also remind you, is that where the game ended? They called the holding, and then they came on and kicked a field goal. Farron, who's been automatic this year, just came on and kicked a field goal, right? There were no other. Oh, wait, that's right. They marched down the field on you. The penalty didn't lose you the game. It's what I say about the Chicago Bears. The Hail Mary isn't what beat you against Washington. Now, is that the play where they won the game? It is. Just letting them walk down the field before the Hail Mary certainly played a role in it. This game, the Holy War, was not lost on that holding penalty.
Yeah.
Would that have ended the game? Yes. But it was clearly, it was either PI or holding. Take your pick. And my point is, you're still the best defense in the conference. By the way, Utah reintroduced themselves. That's the best defense in the conference.
Yeah.
And yet, Jake Retzloff went down the field. They kicked a game-winning field goal.
They did what they had to do on your field, and you don't want to say that. And
Yep.
I get it. I get that it's an emotional thing. Utah fan wants to blame the officials. BYU fan wants to call Utah clowns. Okay, cool. I'm not really here for the childish sandbox drama with this game out of both sides. I want to talk about the fact that this thing with Mark Harlan happened, and this game lived up to it. Like 100,000% lived up to it. And that's what we should be talking about. We shouldn't be getting, this type of nonsense out of you guys today.
Miriam Harmer. I'm getting that name wrong.
First of all, good to see you. Never heard of you before. Appreciate you.
Welcome
listening.
to the show. BYU fan here. Sorry for Utah players in the program that Mark Harlan is the story this morning. Exactly right. But for BYU, it's great. Allow our guys to focus on the next game 1 week at a time. Don't want to get ahead of our skis. Absolutely right. With the championship game or playoff talk, go Cougs. You've got to go to Arizona State and win.
Yeah. Which is not an easy task.
That's the game that should terrify you, is that you got to go to Tempe and win, and that team is tough to beat. That team is tough to beat.
Yeah.
And Boyd Lake, Harlan didn't wait until the play was over to melt down. No. And I think this is also an incredible point. You understand why they called. So the official ending the game was announcing the penalty when Mark Harlan was
right.
The penalty was unsportsmanlike conduct because Mark Harlan was on the field during the final scary ass lateral that was about one throw away from going all the way to the house. I would remind you, Mark Harlan was on the field, which is what drew the unsportsmanlike conduct flag. So it's a really good point. Horatio Hornblower. Even BYU fans are talking more about Harlan than the game itself. Gutsy performance there at the end by the team in the sub-zero ice in Will Farron's veins should be the story. That kid,
dude, he's a savage.
He
bro.
is a great kicker.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're a BYU fan, and I think, yes, let's get into that a little bit. This team now, you guys understand they would have to lose all three not to go to the conference championship game. They've got the hammer on K-State. Another really good performance out of Colorado. I mean, I would assume at this point, because that Colorado defense is playing so well, I'd have to assume at this point Colorado and BYU are going to meet for the Big-12 championship game.
Right.
And the winner of that game, I think Big-12 is only getting one in. Iowa State.
It's over. Good season, but it's over.
Rocco Becht and that defense have disappeared.
Yeah.
I think I said here less than a month ago talking about how Rocco Becht makes throws in moments and spaces that really make a difference for that team. Yeah, those days are long gone.